And Daryl Frech, are you with us, dear one?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear me now, Daryl?
Yes, I certainly can. Your beautiful, melodious, deep voice. You should be a radio announcer or somebody even higher than that. You have to get paid a whole lot more than they do, but you've got a beautiful transmission of voice there. So anyway, we're gathered around the fireside here, honey, for your fireside chat with us, and we're all ears. We want to know what you'd like to share with us tonight. We do know that Restore America, I think Bruce called me the other day and said that Restore America has changed the date of the Constitution that they are bringing forth from 1870 to 1787. And then you shared some other things with me today about that, I think. And so I would like to turn it over to you, if at all possible, and allow you to share what you felt that you wanted to share last time, and we didn't get that done.
Okay. First of all, I'd just like to open the thing up for questions right away to let people ask the questions.
Okay, folks, we're on Q&A, and what happens here is you're all muted until you hit *6. Now, don't everybody do that at once. We'll have cacophony on the call. So just let the person that's speaking have *6 open at a time, and then remute yourself until you can come on. And when you're finished, please hit *6 again to remute yourself. So who would like to ask Daryl Frech a question? I know a lot of you are anxious to talk with this man.
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Amethyst.
Yeah, Daryl, this is Amethyst in Louisiana. I have a question specifically about my state. Now, Louisiana has had, their laws are based on the Napoleonic Code and not on English common law. Is this going to be a problem when the changes are made and switching over to common law here?
No, there won't be any problems. Every state in the nation was originally under common law when they were brought into the Union, because that was the basis of our Constitution at that time. It was only suppressed through the action of lawyers from around the country, and the Story case, Judge Story, was a part of that. There were several cases where they came in and made a challenge to the common law decision, which, if the people had been informed properly at that time of how to carry this out, they would have maintained that common law forum in all of the states. But the people got lackadaisical and didn't keep up with the knowledge of the common law themselves. They were interested mostly in just making a living like everyone else. So we fell away from the common law. As far as Louisiana is concerned, the only thing that Louisiana had a problem with was that they didn't adopt the Uniform Commercial Code like all of the other states did. However, that has been remedied when Mr. Schlesinger developed the court case involving the Uniform Commercial Code and the liens that they placed on judges, lawyers, bankers, everyone. And that case came to fruition in Amarillo back in 93 and 94. That subsequent case went clear to the Supreme Court probably in 2000. And that case, they had, by going directly to the Supreme Court, this brought in the rule through that circuit court in New Orleans, or in Baton Rouge, that made that active in all states then. So every state in the nation will be under the Uniform Commercial Code, and it will be the enforcement body for the common law courts. However, the enforcement part, if any violations have occurred, will be turned over to the military for enforcement. Anything else?
Yes. What about, all of our records on us that are being held by the alphabet agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the IRS, and so forth, will all those be erased?
I think they will. It may take some time for all of this to be implemented. Just like the trustee mentioned here in his last response, all of the agencies will be operating side by side with the common law aspect of it, and until the agencies are brought down and brought into subjection. The main problem that we will have is that people will have to give up their rights, or not their rights, but their privileges that they've accepted through the corporations, and they themselves will have to become sovereign. The states will have no active role in turning back into a sovereign state. It will have to be the people from each state that will have to invoke this through the common law courts, and that just can't be done by the state itself. The state doesn't exist. Only the people exist lawfully. Right. And so the state as a corporation has to be dissolved, and that has to be done through a common law action, and this Restore America plan is a basic part of that beginning, but it's going to take more action on the part of the people. That'll come later when we first start seeing some announcements made and possibly deliveries made at the same time, and debt forgiveness, all of that will happen about the same time, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know all of you are too.
All right, I have one more question, Daryl.
Okay.
I would like to get to dispense with my legal corporate name and change my name, but since all these agencies are going to be closed, how does one go about changing a name after this all comes down?
You won't have to do it after it comes down, because the state corporation will be dissolved. When it does, all of those were invoked upon the people through the session laws that were adopted in 1933 by each of the state legislatures, because the session laws became the rule of thumb for the entire operation of the states itself, and they required that all people who were filed with any records in the county courthouses, those names be spelled in capital letters. That will just simply dissolve.
Okay.
I've been told that.
Daryl?
Yes?
What Amethyst is talking about, basically, and of course all this other information is very important for all the rest of us, but she's changing her name from her given name to Amethyst, which she prefers over and above what the parents gave her. So how does she, in the common law court, change her name from her birth record name?
Well, I suppose that as soon as we can revive the common law courts in each of the states, you'll just have to simply contact a justice of the peace and file a complaint, or file a petition, rather, with the justice of the peace, and bring together a group of people to the first part of that will be a call for an ad hoc committee from the realm of her where she lives, and they'll set up a common law court there and correct that for her. But right now, I wouldn't attempt it on a corporate level, because it just muddies up the water. Your name only exists in the capital letters on a corporate level as a straw man, and there's no real need, I think, at this time for you to go through that process. And only you can decide to change your name. Right now, we have no records of which to do that with.
Okay. Right.
Just be patient. When the common law courts begin to be set up across the country, I think you'll be given a method by which you can achieve that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Amethyst. Who is the next person that would like to ask a question of Daryl?
Daryl, I have a question.
Yes,
First name, please.
This is Karen from
First
Colorado.
name, please. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, but we have a lot of background noise. I don't know where we're getting it. Make sure everybody else is muted other than Karen from Colorado.
Okay, I'm in a quiet room. I made sure of that.
Okay, go ahead, honey.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Daryl. This is Karen from Colorado, and I do have a question for you. I think it's really wonderful what Restore America is trying to do, but you know how power comes in numbers? Is there any attempt being made for them to combine with different groups, for instance, like with Benjamin Fulford's 6 million members with the Black Dragon Society? They're trying to bring down the elite families. Is there any type of an attempt being made to combine forces with other groups?
Yes, there is. The trustee mentioned in his last report that there were several entities and several groups out there coming along with the same force, and they are being combined, and I'm sure he is the spearhead of that whole operation. So all of these things will be orchestrated and brought together and probably guided into the final realm of taking everything back to the Constitution.
It just makes so much sense because there's way more of us than there are them.
That's exactly right. And we're more powerful than they are, too.
Right. Divide and conquer, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's very encouraging.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Karen. That's a great question. Anybody else? Who's next?
Yeah, hi, this is Eddie from New York, Daryl.
Yes,
My
sir.
question is there any way you could possibly clarify the different programs? I know you mentioned on your last call about the freedom packs and the farm claims. Myself, and I think maybe there might be some others on this call that are in Omega, I'd just like to be able to understand the difference between the programs and how they will possibly be delivered.
Well, I'm not sure of the process of delivery. That's up to the trustee because he has made himself into a position where he is in control of them so that they won't be administered to the public until after they get the administration of the banks changed to the gold standard and the Federal Reserve down. Everything had to be done in that process or it would never have worked to be able to bring this country down and have everything of the corporation disappear. As far as the difference between the programs, the Freedom Packs are totally investment programs that were given assistance to the people to go out among the people of the nation and begin this whole process. They were the first to start it. They will be one of the first to be paid. I mean, everyone's going to get paid about the same time, but the Freedom Packs were investments in assisting individuals like the trustee and others to go out and bring this information to the public and enlighten them. It was described to me as setting little prairie fires or little fires all over the country that evolved into being the largest prairie fire that anyone had ever seen. And I think that's what happened. And, of course, some of us all tried to assist in that process, too. The roll programs were also investment programs, and those were put into arbitrages or high investment debenture bonds or something, municipal bonds in international banks or in other countries. Those were put into this program simply because it's a way of getting more of the money back into the hands of the people that will be gold-backed currency. But they're all different. They'll all operate about the same time, and they'll all come back into effect about the same time. And at the same time all those happen, then the debt forgiveness worldwide will be pulled off also. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
Daryl, I'm going to interject my question here, a little bit more clarification along the package thing. I had been told that people in small programs such as Alpha and Destiny and those different types of programs, other than Farm Claims and Omega, and excuse me for huffing and puffing, I have congestive heart failure and I just sat down, so I huff and puff for a few minutes before I can get level again. But I had been told that if you're in Farm Claims or Omega, and you're in some of the other smaller programs, you won't get those smaller programs because they're going to take your portion and put it back into the smaller program, because Omega and farm claims is so huge that they want to increase the pot for the people that just got in the smaller programs. Is that any truth to that at all?
Well, I really can't say for certain. I do know that mostly Omega and the larger programs will be backed by gold. As far as the smaller programs, I don't think anybody's going to lose their investments in them. But as far as how they're going to come out, I'm not aware of that. I'm real positive that the trustee is in charge of that whole operation, and everyone's going to be treated fairly. I know that.
Yeah, I heard that the small programs won't come out at the same time that farm claims and Omega, that they'll be the first to come out, and then it'll be a few months before the other ones come out. Could that be any truth on that one?
It's possible. I don't want to say that it will or won't, but I can only say possible. I'm not directly involved with them at all. I only know the plan of how it was supposed to happen, because that was all laid out to us individually before it ever started.
Okay, well, that's good. That's very good. Who else would like to ask Daryl a question? Just open up with *6, and then you can reclose with *6. But come on, folks, I know you all have questions.
I have another one, Carol.
Okay, Karen, go ahead.
Hi, Daryl. It's Karen again.
Hello.
Yes. I haven't really been keeping up with this too much, but I'm just wondering, when is all this supposed to come down as far as the corrupt government going to their knees and this new correct government being put in place?
Well, as far as the timetable, there is none.
Okay.
Because under this type of an operation, there cannot be. If any of you have been involved with any type of warfare in your past or with your family, you understand that nothing can happen of a final nature until the war is over, the last shot's fired, or an amnesty is declared, or whatever. But there has to be a final culmination of all the effort in trying to destroy each other's forces. Right now, we're still battling. We're winning the war.
Okay.
We're winning the war. We've won it. It's just a matter of getting them to stand down.
And they're not going to go down without screaming and kicking, right?
Yes. And they start backbiting each other and fighting each other. Yes, that will be the last steps of the whole thing.
Do you think there will be a physical revolution that will go on, or like a civil war?
No, I do not. If there is, it'll be a small, isolated area, and those will all be controlled. You don't need to worry about the military coming in and taking all your weapons away. Just relax and let it happen. There's a lot of things that are set up to protect all Americans all over this nation. There's as far as food, supplies of all kinds, water, services. You don't need to worry about them. Now, you might need to maintain some provisions for a few days in some instances, but not of any prolonged time period.
Okay, that was my next question.
Every municipal city in the entire nation has areas set aside with storehouses of all kinds of things necessary for the continuation of life of the people in that area. Now, if we do have any activation of military to dispense these products, that's a possibility, but it will only be an assistance. It will not be in any, I suppose if there was some violence break out like riots or something, which I doubt there will, because if everyone has food and water and clothing and shelter, there should be no need for violence of any kind. But I will assure you, if there is violence of any kind, like raiding or anything, it will be dealt with severely. The police are still here. They're going to protect us. You don't have to worry about, I don't think, of them being involved in coming after any of us, because the top is being melted down upon them. They've already been noticed. Every police chief in the whole country has been noticed. And, of course, there's pressure from the corporation side to not allow that, but I'll guarantee you there's people in place all over this nation to assure us, the people, that it's going to be a safe and easy transition.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You don't need to worry about the United Nations coming in here. I don't want to go into any details like I did the other night with the lady here, but because this is still an operation ongoing, but the safeguards are there. You don't need to be afraid of any type of military action coming in upon the people.
Great. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you for that reassurance, Daryl. That's so important right now. Karen,
yes.
Thank you for your questions, honey. Now, who was the next person? I think it was a gentleman.
Yep, me, Curtis.
Okay, Curtis, thank you. Go ahead.
We've often talked about gifting programs once we get the money. Is that still in effect, or what's changed?
I don't know. As far as I know, there was never any plan for this particularly. I think probably there's a lot of speculation about what we might all have to do or need to do, but as far as a requirement, I've never known of any requirement that we had to gift anything. Now, I think it's a good idea, but I don't know of any requirement that anyone has to do this. Certainly, I think it's an obligation that we have of being able to be a part of this program to do that, but as far as a requirement, I know of none.
Okay.
Thank you,
Anyone
Curtis.
else?
Please remember, all of you people, to remute your phone by hitting *6, please. We're getting some back feed already.
I might make one more statement, Daryl.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are a lot of people. When I made a tour of the western states, we found that there were a lot of claims writers out there that were not too content with Mr. Mentlick and Mr. Both of them were really unsure of themselves and didn't project that attitude towards the people, and so the claims writers were holding on to a lot of claims. I don't know that if all those got turned in or not. I tried to make it some responsibility towards that, but it never happened. We couldn't do it. But there may be a lot of folks out there in those western states that filed claims with Joe and Scott that may not have gotten turned in from the people who were the claims writers. There was some dissension between the claims writers and Mr. Mentlick. I found them. I noted it. I reported it to Roy, and he said, well, if there are people who are sure that the documentation that they filed a claim, they have a receipt, then it may be up to some of us who are benefited by this program to put together a fund to assist them until that can be settled. I would ask that we do that some way. Anyone else?
In this family, on these calls, Daryl, we have from the very beginning said that we would take care of our phone family that are not in the recipients of farm claims or
Yes.
Omega. So they know to call me and to give me their name and phone number so that we can assist them when this happens. So, folks, if you have not called me, I want you to take my name and my phone number down now and call me and let me know if you are in farm claims or Omega and you're willing to help other people, or if you're not in the farm claims or Omega and you're going to need assistance when this happens. So my name is Carol. I'm in California, in Southern California, and my phone number is 760-367-7718. And if you didn't get that number, let me know right now so I can give it to you. I've heard some breaks in the transmission here. I don't know if it all came through to you or not. Just hit *6 and open up your line if you would like to talk. And if anybody wants to ask Daryl another question, we would love to have your questions now.
Daryl, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Earlier on the program, there was, I believe his name was David Wilcox, writing was read to us, and he was concerned that a lot of people were going to think it was the end of the world, and there'd be a lot of suspicion and heel dragging and stuff like that when first contact and so forth happened. I was just hoping that you might make a comment about how smoothly you think this deal's going to go. Do you think there's going to be a lot of people in a panic with it, or anyway, do you have any comment along that line?
Yes, I mentioned that a moment ago, but I'll do it again. As far as I know, there should be no violence of any kind anywhere in this transition. If there is, it will be dealt with by personnel within the ranks of the military that are set up to do this. But none of us need to worry about a civil war of any kind, either in the military or in the private sector. I think all you need to do is just sit back and wait and be prayerful about this whole thing, because there's a lot of people out there that are putting forth their life on the line, and all of their efforts are certainly towards bringing this down and bringing back the Constitution to America. These people are trained people, and they know what they're doing. They know how to do it. But we needn't worry about any violence coming back towards us. Anyone else have a question?
Daryl, this is Bruce.
Yes. Would you repeat that, please?
I had to shut the line down and restart it again because we couldn't get rid of the noise, Daryl, so I'm sorry. So whoever is on deck right now, put your first name out and let's hear what you have to say.
Daryl again?
Bruce, I've got a question.
Yep.
Oh,
yes,
Bruce,
sir.
hello.
Yes, with respect to the American protectorates like Puerto Rico and American Samoa and other who knows how many entities they are, I expect that common law will roll out to them also. Will there need to be some additional treaties or something like that will be set up, or does that automatically qualify them and those territories for common law as well?
I think each of those countries will become a nation unto their own. Those nations that you mentioned are corporate states. They are not states of the republic.
Correct.
And so they will probably be returned to their own republic form, as a lot of nations who were put together after World War II were. They'll be divided back up. It's going to take some time to do all that, but it will happen, because it's guaranteed that every nation that existed possibly 100 years ago will go back into being if they want to. All they have to do is put forth some sort of an effort to apply for their republic back, and they'll receive funding for backing of their government and their currency through the trust established by Saint Germain.
So that also have an effect on Hawaii then too?
Yes, it will. Hawaii and Alaska. They're not properly states.
Interesting.
May I ask a question?
Thank you.
I'm from Hawaii. I was born and reared here. Please tell me more.
Well, the state of Hawaii is not really a republic state. It was annexed by the corporate government. So was Alaska. So
it was
as
stolen.
A state. So, huh?
Originally, Hawaii was a monarchy.
Why don't you just let him, Sheila, if you just let him answer the question, that would help us move along real quickly, honey. Thank you.
As far as Alaska and Hawaii, they are not true for states of the republic. They were annexed by this corporate government, and those will have to return back to their proper republic state of being. I suppose after this is all done, they could become states if they want to. There will be many countries who want to be who will want to be part of our republic. It's been expressed by Canada and Mexico for certain that they want to be part of this new republic as states. We'll just have to see how this all develops after we get the transition done.
Oh boy, does that ever open up a question on my part. What, somebody needs to hit their *6, please. We have kids talking in the background. I'd really appreciate a quiet line tonight. If you're talking about Mexico and Canada, that sure does smack of New World Order. What's going on there?
It doesn't. It is not. It is not New World Order. Actually, what we're doing, it will be a New World Order, but it's going to be back to the Republic and not a corporate state or a corporate nation that are all controlled by the Illuminati. That was the whole reason for all of us, was to bring America back to its own constitution. We are the only nation in the world who has a constitution like what we have. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some problems with that constitution, but they can be easily corrected. And as soon as we are able to bring this nation back to our original constitution of 1787-91, with the Bill of Rights, with the 13th Amendment in it, then we're going to see a lot of nations who will want to adopt our Constitution in its final form and become a nation of their own. And it's possible
well, now
at times that they can become in as a state. Wait, girl.
Well, why would we, as the lower 48, if you will, original 40, or not original, but the 48 states, allow Canada and Mexico to come in and infringe anything on us? In other words, if they want to be sovereign, let them be sovereign, but stay out of our hair.
Well, they won't be coming in to interfere, Carol.
They won't what?
They will not be coming in as states to interfere. That's not the premises of the whole thing. It's to maintain a free republic. That's all I know about it, is that there's an interest on the part of the Canadians to become a part of the United States, but only after we get our republic back through our original Constitution. Not before. And it does not smack of New World Order, period. It just means we have representation by all of the people of the entire America. That's something that's just a long ways down the road, so we don't need to really worry about it.
Okay, well, thanks for addressing it, because that's kind of scary to me.
Well, it's not scary. Don't be afraid of it. The scary part is not getting this done and getting back to our own republic. That's the scary part. Because we're in a position right now where it can go either way. However, I don't think it can go the other way at all. We're headed down the right road.
In regards to all of that, Canada and Mexico, where is that going to, are we going to completely nullify all of NAFTA and CAFTA and all those other wonderful things that the Congress never read?
Absolutely. You know, I shared with you the other night the way that's all going to disappear. Back in 1991, Bush Sr. was captured and arrested. He was before the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under the authority of an executive order that was written by Teddy Roosevelt in 1913 when the Federal Reserve was enacted illegally. Teddy Roosevelt wrote this executive order and kept it in a safe until he went out of office, and then it was transferred to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the military, and then it was passed down each successive general from that time on. In 1991, this executive order was pulled out, and under that authority, Mr. Bush Sr. was arrested and brought before this tribunal. And he was forced, under the threat of trial by treason, to take the necessary steps to take this nation back to restore the Constitution and to restore us back to the gold standard. That executive order was Executive Order 12778. It was codified in the Federal Register, and it became statutory law in 519 and 520 of Title 1828. This was the authority of the claims, the farm claims, because George Bush Sr. made a statement, I, therefore, George Bush, by the authority vested in me, do hereby authorize the filing of only meritorious civil claims against the United States. Now, he was President of the United States of America. He was the last President of the United States of America, period. No discussion. There's not been a legal one since. They're all CEOs of the corporation, but they're not presidents of the United States of America. Now, when I was told that this was the authority of the farm claims, I asked another question of Mr. Schwasinger at that time. I said, Mr. Schwasinger, if he signed this executive order, was there also another executive order signed at that time that nullified all past and future executive orders? He began to laugh like himself, and he smiled, and he said, yes. This means that every law that's been passed by a presidential executive order or an act of Congress is null and void. As a matter of fact, let's go even further with this. Every law that's been passed by Congress since 1860 is null and void, doesn't exist lawfully. That means all of Title 18 is unlawful. Most of Title 28 is just procedure. That's not enforcement. None of your tax laws, nothing that's been passed since 1860 is lawful and will be null and void. The reason why is because Congress became a Sendai Congress when the southern states walked out, when their representatives walked out of Congress in 1859. Well, the congressmen from the north walked out also, and they just left. So there was no Congress. There was no time set aside to reconvene as a quorum. 61 days later, after all of those congressmen walked out, President Buchanan declared martial law on the entire nation. At that point in time, the entire constitutional authority vested in the entire government disappeared with the exception of the president, period. And that was today. This nation has existed under martial law since 1859. Buchanan was president at that time. He was running for re-election. Lincoln won the election. He was supposed to be inaugurated on January the 4th of 1860. That was put off. They set up a lame duck session of Congress, which was illegal, and they set up the format for him, and he signed his first executive order, then declared a temporary government for the United States. But this temporary government was nothing more than the continuation of martial law. This nation has been under martial law since 1859. It still is, with the exception of this Restore America plan, where the people have now brought back the common law of the Republic. Any questions about that?
Hello?
Well,
hello, go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to
changing the subject.
Wait.
Hello?
Curtis, wait a minute. We have a lady that's come on first.
Go ahead.
And what's your name, dear?
This is Rockley, Carol.
Oh, hi, Rockley. Go right ahead, honey.
Yes. Dale, I wanted to ask a question in regards to the rest of the people who have not gotten into the claims. What is going to happen to them?
Well, the biggest thing that will happen to them first is their forgiveness.
Forgiveness?
This will be across the board worldwide. All their debt, credit cards, bank loans, car loans, house loans, everything will be written off. They will be debt-free. That's their first big benefit. The second is that whatever money they've accumulated, it will be real money, because whatever they have in their accounts at the bank There will be a transition or a devaluation of what they have, but everything will be devalued. The property, the money, everything you purchase will be devalued at the same rate. It will probably be something like what we all experienced back during the 50s of our buying power. If you had $100 then, you had a lot of money, but that's equal to several $1,000s now today. There will be programs set up for assistance of the people to receive a certain fund. I'm not sure when this will happen, and I don't know for sure how much. I do know that they will exist. Does that answer your question?
So during this transitional period, you're saying that the other people will have what they need.
Yes, they will have what they need, and there will be programs set up for every person in the United States to receive something.
Okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But it won't be $10 million per everybody, including a newborn baby, will it?
I don't know. I don't know for certain for how much it's going to be.
Okay. That just doesn't make any good sense.
There's been a lot of people speculate about this whole thing, and not one of them have a clue.
Right.
They have ideas, and that's it. That's speculation. Because as far as I know, there was nothing when we were all being apprised of this whole situation for this to happen. That doesn't mean there won't be. See, we have all these trusts and programs. I know that a lot of people will be assisted through the 3 trusts that are established for establishing all the technologies that were suppressed nationwide for 100 years. They'll all be brought back into play. Anyone who has any business experience can apply for a process of something, a patent, a copyright, or a trademark, and they can create a business out of it. Money will be furnished for that business. All the person will have to do is sweat equity in forming a 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan for this business. Everything will be supplied to them. They'll have to create the business with this product or idea and put it to work, put people to work. That's the plan for restoring America on my part that I know of.
Curtis, do you have a question? Did you have a question?
Yeah. What's the whereabouts of Roy Swasinger? Is he still in prison, or is he out, or?
To tell you the truth, I don't want to tell you because I don't know for sure. I'm certain of one thing, that the trustee is real. Who he is, I don't care. Well, let's put it this way. I'm pretty positive that the Roy Swasinger we dealt with was not named Roy Swasinger. This is an undercover operation that has required secrecy on a lot of the top parties involved, and I'm sure steps were taken to provide for his security. I'm sure of the person and his involvement and his actions, and I know who he is, but I know where he is. But I'm not to divulge that at this time. It's too important for his safety.
Okay. I just I'd heard his name and heard that he was in Colorado and that sort of thing. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Hello, Daryl.
Yes, sir.
This is Lee in California. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Real good. I was thinking about regarding the farm claims. When I filed the farm claims, and a couple of my friends, and we all had received certificates upon sending in our fees. So I heard you earlier say that some of the claims may have not gotten to the right people. So if that was the case, with a certificate with proof that we had filed for the claim, is there anybody that we could talk to, or how would that happen? If, say, for example, if my name got lost in the shuffle, but I still had a claim certificate on hand, so how would that happen?
Well, at the point in time where there's delivery made, we'll probably set up a team of people to take individuals' names who don't receive. They'll be able to, bring whatever evidence or send whatever evidence, and send copies only to this team. We'll put a notice out nationwide for this to happen. All you'll have to do, if you're not recipients or if you haven't received, then you just send us your documentation that you have to us, and we'll see to it that it's processed.
You said send your the document or send a copy of it because you don't want to give up your original copy.
No, only send a copy. Yes. Let's wait until deliveries happen, and then we'll set up a team of people to do that and make sure that these things get processed that got lost.
Yeah, because the one that I had, it came out of Kansas, and it has, matter of fact, it had a seal on it, so it's a legitimate, looked like a legitimate certification. So, I've had it for all these years. So I would just, when you mentioned that earlier, I just mentioned that just in case if mine had gotten lost or misplaced, that that I had a certificate to show proof.
Okay, that's good. I know what we found out there in California and Sacramento, all up and down the coast of California, Portland, Oregon, and Washington State, and even in Nevada. We ran into claims writers who did not turn them in to Joe Mentlick because I think they spent the money, to tell you the truth. Some of them came up and admitted that they had used the money and they didn't send them in. So any individual out there who doesn't get a recipient of a claim, I suggest that we'll put up a notice all over the country, and they can file a petition for adjustment or something. They'll be taken care of.
Mine was in Arizona.
Yes.
In Glendale, Arizona.
I'm sure all those got turned in. I'm pretty positive.
In Arizona?
Yes, I knew all the people in Arizona, and they turned them in.
Oh, okay, good. Now, my other question is, Carol has always told us that there will be 9 or 10 days of education. On the first day now of that announcement, will that be all-day education, or how would that go?
Well, this will probably be with the announcements, and those announcements are going to deal with the truth about how this country became what it is today, who were involved, and how it all happened, because the people will have to be brought up to date on how why is all these things happening? You see, that so many people will have questions that have never questioned things before. They're sitting here walking down the street. They're walking cement dead people. They just are out of it. They're so full of apathy. Those people will wake up when this all comes down, and they'll have a million questions. Some of them will be angry, and so these announcements will be targeted towards them.
Okay, good. And another thing too, can you suggest anything that we should say? Because I think Carol had mentioned earlier. Can you suggest anything that we could say to the people that are in the dark and they don't know what's really going on? And can you give us a suggestion of what we should maybe say to them, or what?
Right now.
I mean, not right now. I mean, people look at us like we have 3 heads, but I'm talking about after the announcements.
You're right. Just wait until it all starts to happen. Then you can say something, and they'll be full of so many questions. They'll wonder how in the world this all happened, and you will be the one who will have to answer them as far as an individual. But the press, the TV, there won't be any more programs on TV for some time until all this announcements is over and the people are waking up. It's going to be a magnificent
they're going to take over all TV stations, all the programming, the sports, entertainment, all that.
My understanding, that's correct. You won't be able to watch anything on the TV, radio, or anything that won't have these announcements being broadcast.
Hallelujah.
All media, all means of media, newspapers, whole works.
Oh,
Matter of fact, a lot of the
Well, that means they're going to be all on the commercial stations. You know, like in California, you have 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. So how would that work? Are going to be on all of
it? It could be that all of them will be shut down. It'll be the public broadcasting stations that will be allowed to do this. That's my guess. I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty certain that if anybody watches anything, you're going to see it on a public broadcasting station.
So people can be forced to watch it?
Yes.
What about the Internet?
I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to be able to control it. At least I hope not. If they do, there'll be something better that comes along. I know there's works in the plan for right now to make it even better and more secure for all of us. There's some satellites up there in the sky that haven't been used yet, and they'll be used for all of our communications. Anything else?
Thank you.
As with Arizona, it was Nevada clear.
Harold Ridge
turned in all of their claims.
I don't know. I just couldn't tell you. The people who were working up all the claims, I'm sure they turned them in. I'm just saying that there's some claims writers out there that didn't. There may not be as many as I think there were, but I do know of several that admitted to me that they didn't turn them in. They just simply used the money, and then they were afraid to turn them in. So that will be dealt with after it all happens. But we'll make sure that no one gets left out. I promise.
Thank you.
Daryl, there was another thing regarding the claims. There were people like my wife. I didn't have the money at that time to pay for her claim, but they sent her a claim back with her name, everything filled out on it, and they said that once she gets her claim, that they will take her claim fee right off the top. So is that true?
I don't know. We had several claims that were free. We worked them up like children's claims, wife's claims. They could only pay for 1 or 2, and so the rest of them we worked up, and we turned them in ourselves when it all came down. You know, we just all turned them in. There'll be provisions for all that to happen then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Daryl.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, Daryl.
Yes.
This is Rich in Washington.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's people that be worried about Social Security. I have 2 questions. That's the first one.
Okay, about the Social Security, there has been a trust established for all Social Security programs. They will not be stopped. Those people everyone who's on Social Security right now, your claims will still be paid, no matter what happens. I promise that too, because we were all assured that the Social Security program will not be. It's all involving elderly people. They don't have a real high standard of living, for sure. I know, and so those will be protected. They will be paid, and after you get your claims, you certainly won't need them.
However, can I interject right here, please? If you're in Omega or farm claims, you probably won't continue to get Social Security. Would that be correct, Daryl?
Daryl, I don't know. There's no plan. There was no plan for anything to be stopped when the payments of the programs became to be paid.
Somebody needs to hit their mute button. I don't know. I hear a woman talking in the background and now a man. So if you'll all hit your *6 and mute yourselves out, we can have a good, clean line on this phone call. Thank you. Go ahead, Daryl. I'm so sorry. So, in other words, even if you're in farm claims in Omega, you still might get your Social Security?
You will get your Social Security until it all settles.
Okay.
When everything settles down, then we'll probably just do away with Social Security because there will be other programs out there for people that need assistance.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we have... Carol, can I talk?
I'm waiting for you.
Okay. Daryl, could we have some of your expertise on explaining? We are going to get questions when this comes out. Where is all this money coming from when the country is almost broke? How would you suggest that be handled? If you can answer.
As far as where the money's coming from to pay these claims?
Yeah, and all the rest.
Okay. All of the money, all of the effort of this corporation has been worldwide in seeking out gold, physical gold, or gold certificates. It's because they don't have any. It's all been confiscated away from them. There was a team of patriots, and I was told they were set up as a Delta force. They had the best hackers in the world. They had the best trained, all of them were military or prior military, and so they had these MOSs that were very, very good. They were put together as a team. They tracked these gold transactions and transfers all over the world, and they confiscated it because the gold was originally taken from all of the people, and so they confiscated it, brought back into respective countries and to the United States, placed into trust and hidden so that the corporation could not access it at all. This is the reason why this corporation is dying. They cannot get the physical gold to back up the dollars that they have in circulation, and so they're simply dying down. It had to be done that way. All of that gold will be brought back into play and will be used under the original United States of America Treasury and to fund all these programs and all the claims, everything. There's lots of gold. They're just not in possession of it, and they can't get it. They're not going to get it either. These trusts are in the name of the people of the United States of America. So they can't be accessed by the corporation, by Congress, by anyone, even Mr. High and Mighty Obama. He can't get them.
Daryl, I have a question.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
Karen from Colorado. When is there a timeline when the collection agency for the feds is going to go down? They go IR.
No.
Okay.
The IRS and all of those.
Yeah.
There's no timeline. There's no timeline as far as I know that they are on the road down. Now, you can say this. I know for certain that the corporation for the District of Columbia has been dissolved. All of these other agencies are parts of that corporation, and so they're dead also. The only thing that's left there are the people who run them, and those are being taken over and remanaged by people who are patriots. Some of them have military experience. We don't have to worry about them. They'll be everything. All of our functions of government will be maintained for us.
Well, they claim that they're hiring all these new agents to collect people with new wealth, and it doesn't appear that anything's going on. That's why I was wondering.
Well, that's in the last stages of their fear of this thing failing, and they'll stop.
Okay.
Next question.
Daryl, this is Bill.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
I was wondering what kind of currency are we going to get? I've heard that there's a rainbow currency, and I was wondering if the banks already have this in their vault.
Well, they've had it, but they couldn't implement it because it wasn't constitutional. As far as I've been told, the original currency that was existing, which was the old C notes, there will be a rendition of those that will come out. I'm not sure what kind of currency we'll have, but I do know it will be backed by gold.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Everything I've been told, dear one, the rainbow currency is the New World Order money. And you
That's
don't
true.
want
We don't want that. It won't come out. It won't be allowed.
Hallelujah. Again.
The real money is already in the banks. I'll restate that. I'll rephrase that. All of the constitutional money are in specified banks within all of the states. Specified banks. These are the ones who have made the agreement to make this transition and make the compliance. All the rest of them will go by the wayside. You'll simply get a letter in the mail telling you where to go. Okay? And don't worry about nothing else but going there. But when you get there, leave it there. Because they're under protection. They'll be able to protect your assets. And if you take them somewhere else, they won't be able to guarantee that. Just follow the directions. They'll be clear enough and easy enough for you to follow.
Great.
I think I've been told it's going to be second grade simple. Isn't that true?
Probably.
I sure hope so.
Yeah,
It'll sure help all of us as far as questions from other people.
Yes.
Hi, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
Go right ahead. First name,
Okay,
please.
thank you. This is Mel, Colorado.
Okay.
And what I'd like to ask about is if you're familiar with the R.W. Meadows estate for people that might be involved with that program.
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay, very
I don't
good.
know
And the
anything
second
about
question I have is I just got on a few moments ago, and I want to
Yes.
thank you very much for all that you're sharing, and I probably missed a lot. And so I'm wondering if this call can be heard as an archive, or when this is over, can I dial back in and hear it again?
I'm sure it's been recorded. And go ahead, Carol.
That's all right.
All right. Thank you,
Daryl
Carol,
was
and
on
I'm
with us.
sorry I didn't know the sir's name, but I appreciate you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for all that you're doing.
Yeah, if you'll just let me talk, I'll explain it to you. Just relax. Have you a pen and a paper? Have you a pen and a paper? Mel?
You talking to me, Carol?
I'm sorry, Carol, I muted out. Go ahead.
You have a pen and a paper, Mel?
I got your number down earlier.
Okay, but I'd like to give you some information so you can get to the archive because you were asking about the archive. If you'd like to write it down, I'll be very happy to give it to you and everybody else on the call so that you don't have to call me for it. I'll give it to you now.
Great. I'm ready.
Okay. We have an internet site. We are the Worldwide Lightworker family, and our internet site is not a website, so we don't have www. But there are W's in our name in reference to the first letter of all of the names in our name, Worldwide Lightworker family. So our site, you go to WWL, WF, as in family, dot live journal, that's L-I-V as in Victor, E, journal, Journal, that's www.livejournal.com. And if you'll scroll clear to the bottom of the site, there is a phone number. It's the same as this conference call number. Instead of 4141 at the end, it's 4143. And then you look for the PIN number for the date that you want. Now, Nancy in Baltimore, Maryland, takes care of this for us, and sometimes she doesn't get that number up very quickly. You might find it about the middle of the week. But if you'd like to get a copy of it for yourself and download it on your computer, what you can do, send an email to Nancy Brennan. I'll spell that for everybody. It's Nancy, Nancy. Brennan, B as in boy, R-E, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, A, N as in Nancy, at Verizon.net. That's V as in Victor, E-R-I-Z as in zebra, O-N as in Nancy, Verizon.net. And in the subject line of your email, All you need to do in all capital letters is write the word archive, ARCHIVE, all caps, archive, and then the date. Today's date would be 4/23/10. And she will send you, by email, a full download of this call. Now, you can either put it on an MP3 DVD or a regular DVD or a CD.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And
You're very welcome.
And I'll *6. Thank you.
Okay, Nell. Enjoy the rest of the call, honey.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Who would like to ask a question? Anybody want to ask a question?
Yeah, Daryl, this is Bill in Illinois. Wonder if you can tell us about this, where we get our physical bodies renewed. What do you know about that program?
Well, I don't know that there's a program. I understand that it's just going to happen. As we evolve into this transition, the frequency is going to rise dramatically for every human being on this earth, and you probably will go through that transition automatically.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl.
Yes, sir.
Well, that was good news about the bodies being healed, Daryl. Thank you for that. Who else would like to ask a question?
Carol, this is Dorothy.
Yes. Hi, Dorothy. Go right ahead, honey.
Okay. I have a question. When this happens, how soon after the entrepreneurs that's doing inventions and all, how soon will they be able to work freely in this country?
Carol, could you restate that? I couldn't hear it all.
Dorothy, are you asking about the new technology that will be available to us?
Yes.
Okay. What Dorothy is looking for, Daryl, is all of the new technology that's been withheld from us for so long, and off-world technology that might be available to us. When should we look to see that and have it available to us?
It's pretty quick, because I know that all of that technology has been placed into 3 different trusts, and there will be individuals, and I've been promised to be one of those individuals that will be able to dispense that information, including funding for all of it, so that jobs can be made all across this country to rebuild the infrastructure and put people back to work. All this technology has been brought back and put into these trusts, and we'll just make it available to everyone. It'll be pretty quick. I don't know a timeline, but I'm anxious to get started.
Does that help you, Dorothy?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, honey. Thank you. That was a really good question, sweetie. Everybody is anxious to know about that. Who else has a question for Daryl? Please remute your phones, everybody. Hit *6, please. And anybody that wants to ask a question, open up your line by hitting *6, and then when you ask your question, please remute so he can answer your question quietly on a nice line.
I have Daryl and Carol. This is Mel again.
Go ahead, Mel.
Okay. I wanted to ask, maybe you answered this previously. I apologize if I'm asking a question you've already answered, but on the A for V, the accepted for value, is that something that we should continue to do until announcements are made?
Well,
thank you.
That's a hard question to answer, because I'm pondering the time we have here before this all happens. I'm not sure there's enough time for, it takes quite a process to get that all done, this acceptance for value, and there's a lot of details with becoming a principal master of that account that's been established to the Treasury. I think we're in downfall, and I really don't feel that there's time enough anymore for all the people or any of the people to go through that process. It is a valid process, though, and it's very good. I just don't think we have enough time. But okay.
Mel, let me ask you a question, Mel. Are you or somebody that you know in the process of being foreclosed upon?
Okay,
Yes,
thank you, Daryl. I had muted out. Someone that I'm very close to, they went through that process, and it took about 2 years, and they just had their house sold, and they were evicted out. You know, it was at the point that the sheriff came and told them they only had so many days. So they did leave the property, but is there still a chance that they may be able to get that property back?
I think there is.
I think Daryl,
you have no idea what a wonderful answer that is. Thank you so much, and I will pass that information on.
Okay. Now, as far as I know, everyone... Go ahead, Daryl.
That's all right. You go ahead, Daryl.
Everyone who has lost property will be given the choice of either turning that loss in on their claim, or they will be given an opportunity to go back through that and repossess that property. So that's something that's in the future of being able to take care of. I know that's a huge problem because there's so many foreclosures all across America, and so many people have left the country or committed suicide and all kinds of things, but there will be an attempt for all this property to be either restored back to them, to the individuals who lost them, or to be able to receive the value of that property and start over somewhere else, whatever you want to do.
Thank you for explaining that further, Daryl.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Daryl.
I have a question.
I heard a gentleman first. There was a gentleman with a real soft voice. Let him go first, and then there's a sweet lady that's coming next. So the gentleman that spoke.
Thank you, Carol. This is Big Will from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Daryl, the question is about foreclosure. And the question is this. I asked this question before, and I never got a permanent answer. How far back in the foreclosure can we go back? Is it 5 years, 10 years? How far back can we go back?
I don't think there's any time limit on it or anything, because you can probably go back as far as you want to with anyone, but some of this property has been repossessed, sold again, repossessed. It's gone through several repossessions, and each one will be able to file a claim upon that property. They'll probably the one who lost it first will have the right to reclaim the property and possess it. All the rest of them will just be able to file a claim and receive compensation for losses.
Okay.
Don't forget to remute, Big Will, honey. Thank you very much. And now the lady that wanted to speak. You speak up, honey.
Is that me?
Or is that me? Okay, and your first name, please?
I'm Pat.
Okay, go ahead, Pat.
Well, I apologize if I'm new to this process, but my question is this. How are you protecting yourselves from these people who have taken over our country? I mean, these people owe me over $12 million. They have made massive numbers of very horrible and black ops kinds of attempts on my life in the last year. And through their processes of trying to off me, I found out that a lot of this stuff, like about holograms and nanobot attacks and all this stuff that I thought was all science fiction, I found out is real. And I also know that 41 is a complete crazy person, and he would kill everybody on the planet to keep $10. How are you protecting yourself? I have heard repeatedly very open threats made against you guys on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I mean, it's like every media outlet is, calling you guys nuts and dangerous. And to me, it's a setup, and I'm afraid for my life, but I'm also afraid for yours. How are you protecting yourself from all of this?
I think our biggest protection is divine, first of all. And second of all, you know, they have their phone taps out there, but we have ours also. They're listening to us right now. Our side is.
I know, because they listen to all my calls.
Yes,
Pat,
but our side is listening also.
Pat, Daryl, hang on a minute. Pat, I'm going to ask you to mute your phone out and let Daryl answer your question, honey.
Okay.
Please. Thank you. Go ahead, Daryl.
First of all, our protection is divine. I'm certain of that. I've gone through a lot of things. My wife and I have both been put in prison because of the farm claims, and we were protected while we were there. We've been protected since. And we were assured when this all started that all of these phone taps across the country that the government, the corporation has done against us, well, our side has them tapped also, everyone. And if there's any threats of violence against anyone, that phone conversation is immediately tapped and recorded, and the individuals who made the threats are soon found out and stopped. I think everyone can be rest assured that the violence that's being planned or has been planned or will be planned against any of the people will be stopped before it ever gets started. And you can also rest assured that... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I heard you pause. I thought you were finished. I apologize.
That's okay.
Daryl, my name's Harvey, and a little clarification, if you would, please. Earlier in the call, you had mentioned that with this process, there isn't a timeline per se. But then later, just a little bit ago, a lady talked about the accepting for value process, and you're more or less implying that this is really kind of close, right around the corner of things happening. And this is the first time I've been on the call. I just have these visions of, you know, the Apocalypse, the 2012 thing, you know.
Yes.
Are we looking at, you know, sometime within the next 30, 60, 90 days of seeing something tangible in our lives, or I'm just searching for something to hang on to?
Yeah, well, to answer your question, yes, we are very close. I can't put a specific date or time. It's impossible because it's still an ongoing perpetuation of a warfare against the American people, but it is drawing down to the point where we can look and see the things happening that makes us think and realize that we're very, very close. I think we're within days of seeing some really, really wonderful things happen.
No, that's excellent. Is there, I wrote down what Carol said about the archives and such, but is there a website that a person can go to get more information about the Restore America plan, or if they have updates anywhere that a person can kind of keep tabs on?
No, I don't know whether there is or not. Now, they put out some sometimes, and they may give a site that you can go to, but as far as I know, they're not putting out anything until this all happens. It's for their own protection also.
Yes, they are.
It's a very dangerous thing to step out in this world and start speaking about taking it back, you see. So just be careful. It's okay. Things are working on our side, and we're very, very close.
Is there a place where a person can offer their services, however limited that might be? I mean, I'm dying to do something constructive here in this effort, you know. It's just sitting back and waiting when I'd like to be pushing myself, you know.
I understand, but I can tell you that the best thing all of us can do is be prayerful and be expectant and be thankful for all of this happening and all of the effort that's being placed in in power and place, and it's all coming to pass. It's a lot of spiritual effort as well as physical effort. And those of us who are not physically capable of doing those things, then we have to become prayer warriors and spiritual warriors to make this all happen. Back it up. Give it power. That's the best effort that any of us can do.
I might say to you, dear one,
thank you, Daryl, so much for your time.
Excuse me. I want to address this last gentleman that just talked to Daryl about what he could do. If this is the first time you found our phone family, I encourage it not to be your last. We're on every night at the same time. I don't know what time zone you're in, but we start our calls at 5:45 Pacific time on every weeknight except Tuesday, and then on Saturday at 9:45 in the morning. And same phone number, same PIN number. And we've been doing this for 5 years, and we are very spiritual. We give out information as we get it regarding this change, and I encourage you to be with us. We try real hard to support one another in this. So thank you for being with us tonight, and please don't let it be your last time you visit us.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you so much for the invitation.
You're very welcome, dear one. God bless you. And
I'm going to mute out.
Okay, dear, thanks.
I have
There's
a question.
Yes, go ahead. Is this Patty?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Patty.
Hi there. I'm in Washington State, and we have very high unemployment here, and there's a high unemployment all over the country based on the recession, and in many cases, especially here, because of the demise of the real estate industry, there just are no jobs. And I'm running out of unemployment in a week, and many of us are in the same boat. And I know this might be a little off topic for you, but it is kind of a scary thing, and we're hoping for extensions because we're middle class. We have to survive somehow, and I was wondering if you had any knowledge on that.
Yes, I do. I'm in the same boat. I lost my job about 7 weeks ago, and I am on unemployment. My wife still works, thank God. But I know that the bill has been passed by Congress to extend that time because I have friends who have been on unemployment for almost 2 years, and they just received their extension also.
Excuse me. Can I get everybody to hit *6, please? We still have somebody that's laughing and causing havoc on the line. Please hit *6. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Daryl.
Okay. Everyone's concerned about how we're going to make this through, and I know a lot of people are on unemployment. There's just not enough money to go around on Social Security, and even with the unemployment, it's really tough. So somebody in the family has to work, and I don't know. We just got to make it some way.
I understand that both houses are discussing
I didn't hear all the question, Carol.
Yeah, I had to mute the phone again because we had a lot of interference. So, folks, please help me with this. If you want to ask a question, ask your question, and then please mute your phone. Hit *6 and mute, and let Daryl answer it on a quiet line, and then the next person can come on, and we won't have interference. This is really a hot topic. We've got about 3 times as many people on the call tonight as we've had for several years, and so there's a lot of you that want to get your questions answered. So ask your question and then mute. So go ahead.
Daryl, this is Bill.
Go ahead, Bill. Ask your question, dear.
What was the question from that last lady? I didn't understand it.
What lady was that, dear?
That was me, Patty.
Okay, about your unemployment?
Yes, my second question was that we understand that both houses are in the District of Criminals are discussing extending our benefits till the end of the year. and that's what we're hoping for fervently. Do you have any information on that? That's
no,
what is.
I do know of the effort to extend it to the last of it, and I'm sure that that's going to happen.
Thank you. That's what my knowing tells me is going to happen for all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank
yes.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Hi, Daryl. This is Bill.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that there'll be 3 announcements and then education to follow. Do you have any summary as to what those 3 announcements are going to cover and how long they'll be? I've heard maybe 3 hours.
That's probably true. As far as what the content is going to be, I know it's going to be a lot of history, for one thing. But as to what's going to happen or who's going to do it, I have no idea.
I heard the first announcement would cover debt forgiveness, and then the second announcement would be the governmental change, and then the third one would be something else. I don't know what.
Well, we're going to be the announcements that you'll no longer have to tax and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Just let them happen. There's people in charge of that, and they'll take care of it.
This is Harry. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Daryl, and your whole team. They're working on all this. I can't thank you all enough for standing up for us. I do appreciate that. A lot of people have concern, the recipient of their life being in danger once they receive this stuff. Is there anything that you know that we could do to protect ourselves as this all happens, besides putting our faith in the Lord?
Well, that's the main thing. As far as protecting yourself, I don't really think you'll have to, because there's a lot of effort to keep this civil and quiet and not some sort of a civil war. We don't need that. We can't have it. We really cannot have a civil war. We've got to make this peaceful. It's got to make an easy transition, and there's every effort being made to make it happen that way. A lot of the delays that have been in the past have been simply because some people rose up and wanted to create some sort of violence, and it can't not be allowed. It can't be allowed. We've got to make this peaceful. But you don't need to worry about protecting yourself. Just let God take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next question, please.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now, but you're cutting out. Go ahead.
Is there any comment you could make on the method of transferring the local governments to this program as to how that would be done? I know that a lot of thought's been given to the federal government and how the transitions are going to be made, but with such a wide base, could you comment on that?
Probably the biggest thing that will start the transition of the state governments back to local control will be the implementation of the original 13th Amendment. When this happens, you're going to see everyone in Congress, all of your state representatives are going to simply go home that are lawyers. When this happens, boys will have to be filled. And so there will be steps to open up the line elections of the individuals, and of course a big qualification will be that you can't be a lawyer. So all of you who will have received your claim at that time, if you feel an inclination that you want to be one of the leaders of this new country, step up and be counted.
Thank you.
Mark, will you please hit star 6 and remute, honey? Thank you very much. I'd appreciate it. Who's got a next question? Ask now or forever hold your peace.
This is Harry again. Could you give us the times that the calls are on again? I just couldn't write fast enough.
I'm sorry, Harry. Absolutely. And my name is Carol. I host these calls, and they are on every weeknight. They start at 5:45 Pacific Time, 8:45 Eastern Time, and we are not on Tuesday.
Okay, and you said Saturday you have a call?
Yes, we have a call during the day. It starts at 9:45 Pacific Time, a.m., that is, a.m., and then 12:45 Eastern Time. And each call is different. Each call is different. Even though you have the same phone number and same PIN number, each call has a different flavor. So I hope that you enjoy each and every one of them. They were all put together for different reasons and for different edification. So join us, and you will be welcomed into our family.
Carol, it's Mark.
Yes,
yes,
Mark.
Sir.
Yes. Can you, when you came in, it was nicely opened up to questions, which was a real delightful surprise. I sensed in your opening comment, Daryl, that you had some messages or some things that you wanted to express without or prior to the questions. Was there any information that you were planning on passing along at this point that we didn't hit?
Yes, I have some things. I wanted to clear the air with as many questions as possible so we get that out of the way, because there's so much disinformation that's been passed around the last few years. Some of it needs to be clarified with things that I know that were intended to be happening. So I wanted to do that first. Go ahead.
I just said amen, and you did a great job of getting those questions out. I didn't want to go without you having a chance to get your thoughts out in front of us.
That's okay. The last time we were on, I gave some information. You know, I've studied these things coming out over the Internet now and things that people have made about our true history of America, and there's a big in all of it, and that is that most people have no clue when this country came under a separate individual constitution. And when I was in prison, I spent all of my time, my free time, researching all of that. And my objective while I was there was to write a original action that would qualify in the United States Supreme Court under Article 3. I attempted that, and I did succeed in doing it. When I was told that this is something that I asked the question, well, if we do this, it will simply be ignored. And my answer back to me was that that's what I was supposed to ask. And as such, my first responsibility was to notify the Joint Chiefs of Staff under Section 4 of Title 18 that there was an ongoing perpetuation of a criminal activity being committed against myself, my wife, and the American people, and order under this section of law that the Chiefs of Staff monitor this case and see to it that the Constitution was enforced. Well, we did that, and it was monitored, and it was when I sent the action to the Supreme Court to have it filed, it was rejected and sent back, stating by the clerk that I, Daryl Frech, could not sue the United States. Well, 2 weeks later, I got a notice from one of my friends that our side had missed it. They didn't know that I was getting ready to file, and they wanted me to refile it, this time send it by priority mail so that it could be monitored and tracked. Well, if they could track it, then we could too. Well, as we redid all of the signature pages, all of the verifications of signatures, everything, we sent it back to the Supreme Court. Of course, it had to be placed for $300 for the fee. We had to have 30 sets of the complaint packaged up and sent up there, insured and everything, and that took a lot to do that. Well, it was tracked to a distribution point in Tennessee, and from there it went directly to the post office on Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C., and it was there for just a few hours, and it left to the zip code 20004, and it stayed there for 2 weeks. No one could tell us where this zip code was or what it was. It just was there. It stayed there. Every night when they checked on it, it was still there. Finally, on a Monday night, I don't recall the date, but 2 weeks later, I called my wife, and well, let's back up. I had a vision of something going on about 10:30 of an evening on Monday night. And what I heard was questions being asked about this complaint that we had written and answers being given. As those questions and answers went on.
Excuse me just a minute. I'm so sorry. There is somebody on the presenter line that is not muted. And there's only a few people that have this number. So if you're one of them and you're on it, please hit *6 or your mute button. This line is not clear for Daryl, and it needs to be. We're missing some of his words. And so please help me with that, dear one. Thank you. Go ahead, Daryl. We'll see if this gets any clearer.
Okay. Can everyone hear me well now?
Well,
anyway,
you don't have a line open on your end, do you? Is there another phone open on your end?
On my end?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing here. Everything is quiet in the house.
Well, okay, but quiet. But there's no other phone being used on that line?
No, I'm on a private line.
Okay. Well, there's somebody on our presenter line that still has not muted their cell phone or their portable phone or something because we're getting feedback. So I really would appreciate it if you'd help us out, dear one. So go ahead, Daryl. We'll do the best we can at hearing.
This original action that was filed in the Supreme Court was reviewed by a military tribunal to see if it qualified for an Article III action, original action in the Supreme Court. It was ruled by the military tribunal that it did qualify, and so it was sent back to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was again rejected. Now, I was told to begin with that if it was rejected and it did qualify for an original action in the Supreme Court, this would be used against the entire corporation to prove that there was no justice for the people of America. And this case then would be used to actually be authority for tearing down the entire corporation and all of its agencies. It'd also be used as a means or a tool to bring the complaint against every individual within the corporate government, state and federal, in perpetuating this ongoing perpetuation of an unlawful activity against the American people, which includes treason, it includes genocide, and several violations of laws that were named in the suit. This will be some of the things that are used to tear down this infrastructure of the corporation government. The other thing that I wanted to share with one was that if there's a website on Rumor Mill News that it's called PDF File for the Original Constitution. This version of the Constitution of 1787 and 91 was published by the Commonwealth of Virginia on March the 12th of 1819, and this will be the one that is going to be used to restore America to the Constitution. The reason why is because it has the original 13th Amendment in it. It was lawfully ratified in 1810, and so it became law at that point. Now, that adjudication has been done in the Supreme Court. I think it was done in 2000 to verify that it was ratified properly and it is in effect. This will be used to bring down the entire nation's corporate status as government. And at that point, we will have to bring back our republic of the states and a republic of the United States of America government. You can get a copy of that Constitution, and I suggest you do because it's very, very informative. That 13th Amendment is very powerful. There's also a person by the name of Watcher. I don't know who this is, but this is extremely good. There's an article published on Rumor Mill News. It's called R.E. the 13th Amendment, Attorneys Breaking Contracts, Bribery, Coercion, Intimidation, U.S. House and Senate members. And it shows all the laws that they violate, starting with Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 11 of 201. These laws are being violated by every member of Congress, every member of the House of Representatives, every member in the state, each state, and all of the people who are lobbyists for those entities, for those companies. These are the laws that they're going to be violating, and they will be enforced. They will be enforced. Every state in the nation, all the lawyers in the country, the whole world's going to know what the law profession has done in perpetuating this unlawful activity. So these are the things I wanted to share with you. There are some others, and that is that right after the war of the
1812.
Well, the war with England, where we won our independence, or where we thought we won the independence. We didn't really win that. We won the war, but we didn't win the battle. Maybe I better say that again. We won the battle, but we didn't win the war. After every war like that, there's always a time for settlement, and that came in the Treaty of Paris. The Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay were representatives of the new nation at that time, and they were sent to Paris to negotiate this Treaty of Paris. When they got there, they were arrested by the king's agent and going to be tried and sentenced for treason against the crown. They complained, saying that they were representatives of the new nation, America, and we won the war. They were reminded that, yes, we did, but these men who were representatives of this action were also titles of nobility to the Crown of England, and they were reminded of that. They were loyal subjects of the Crown, and therefore the king was going to arrest them, try for treason, and execute them. Instead of negotiating the Treaty of Peace, they negotiated it and gave it all back to the King of England in the Treaty of Paris of 1793. And so we've been under the perpetuation of that Treaty of Paris, which was the Jay Treaty, and there was one other. But each time more of in that Treaty of Paris, 25% of the gross national product of everything in America was attached by the Crown of England. This has been an ongoing thing. The treaties that have been held by England, by the Vatican, have been really difficult to overcome. And I'm sure that by now they have been overcome, because we're beginning to see this all dissolve and come down. The biggest power was the Vatican, because they claimed they owned and controlled all of the land masses of the world. That's all now been dissolved. There's a lot of things that are going to come out about all of this history that will be shocking to most people. We've been under the influence of England all of these years, and the whole royalty of England was controlled by the Illuminati, with the Rothschilds at the Crown, which is a 1 mile square area of London. So that's all been dissolved. We're going to go back to our original constitutions and our own republics worldwide. That's all I have to share, Carol.
Well, let me bring the people back on the call then and let them ask any other questions. This might have spurned some new questions here for you before we end up here. Thank you, Daryl. Hold on, everybody.
Welcome.
Constitution.
Hello?
Okay, *6, and you can ask a question, folks. Go ahead.
This is Curtis.
Hello,
Yes.
Curtis.
What's the new tax structure going to be when we have our transition?
Well, there won't be an income tax for sure. There will be an excise tax under the Constitution. It may be much bigger than what we have, but there will be exempt things like food and medical services, but that will be the only tax you'll have to pay.
Okay.
That's the only lawful constitutional tax there is besides a poll tax.
Okay. Next, when did the Vatican's ownership of the world get dissolved and canceled?
Well, I don't know when, but I know that that was a priority just in the last few months when all these things started happening, and I'm pretty certain that they have been accomplished.
Okay, in the last few months then. I'm not asking for it. I'm not asking for a date. I'm just wondering, was this done a couple of years ago or recently? So.
No, recently.
Oh, okay, good.
Very, very recently.
Wow.
Which year?
Is this why the Vatican is in such difficult shape now? I mean, they seem to be, all the attention seems to be drawn on their homosexual and child pornography problems.
Well, that was a tool by which they were forced into making this this new transition. It was exposure. Every one of those people are afraid of the exposure and control, and so, yeah, they had to. That was one of our biggest obstacles, was getting back control of each individual nation by the people, because the control up to date has all been through the Vatican or some power structure of influence of commerce. That all had to be dissolved, and it's taken a great deal of effort on people to do that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
One question, you were talking about the taxes, and what about estate taxes? Will those be, when you dies and you have to, there is a considerable amount in the estate? Is that going to be taken care of?
There's a big question about state taxes. I know for one thing there's a dual accounting system in every state, and they did this simply because they wanted to qualify for state funds, and they knew that with all the, I beg your pardon, what?
Estate. When a death happens, the executor or the trustee of the estate, E-S-T-A-T-E, will those taxes be abolished, or will they continue on?
They will be abolished.
Thank you. That's good news.
I think the estate that you're referring to is over property.
Yes.
All of those property estate taxes have only come about through the cession laws that were adopted by each of the states themselves. See, before all of that happened in 1933, the property was owned individually by a allodial title, and that allodial title was disbanded, and then they took over with the corporate side through the cession laws. At that point, we have deeds of trust instead of allodial titles, and that created an estate. Well, no one in this whole wide world has really owned any property since that point in time. All of the ownership of the real property was taken over by the corporation, by the Federal Reserve, and actually by the Crown of England or the Queen. That's all been being dissolved. The session laws will be dissolved by every state. It will take some time to do all that, but as soon as we get through the lawyers and they go home and start working somewhere else for a living, then we can get this all tore down and changed. Matter of fact, I've made the statement that all those people are going to end up working at Hardee's or McDonald's, and I'm sure not going to eat there.
Thank you.
Hooray! Daryl, I got two quick questions.
Yes. Sure.
What was the year of the Constitution that you actually refer to as the Constitution that you are basing all this on?
Okay, the original Constitution was ratified by the people in the states, and that was 1787, and then the Bill of Rights was ratified in 91. This is the original Constitution. However, the last de jure action by the de jure United States of America was done on March the 12th of 1819. So that will be the Constitution that we will go back to because it has that original 13th Amendment in it. Everything as far as the Constitution concerns after that will be null.
So that was 3/12/1819.
Yeah, no, March, yes, 3/12/1819. That's when Virginia ratified the original 13th Amendment into law.
Thank you.
It became published at that time. It was actually, we know that now, through an action that went to the Supreme Court with all the process of ratification of the original 13th Amendment, it was declared that the amendment ratified in 1810. See? The reason why it happened in 1810 is because they proved that two of the states were not qualified as states in order to do the ratification. So those two states were disqualified in that court case in 2000. At that time, in the ratification process, Virginia ratified in 1814. However, their process of ratification was stolen, and this was the real reason for the War of 1812 with England. England wanted to destroy that 13th Amendment, and they burnt a library in Virginia. They also burnt the library in Washington, D.C. It was later, they thought that they burnt all of this ratification process in those libraries, but somehow or another, through the research of David Dodge and Tom Dunn, who were financed by people who were readers of the Spotlight magazine, they went from state to state and territory to territory that existed at the time of 1819 through 1867 and discovered that each of these states and territories had at some point in time the original Constitution that was printed through the archives of the General Assembly for Virginia in 1819. In their research, they went also to France, England, and Germany. When they got to England, they were researching in a library over there, and a lady who was the head librarian walked up to them, and she somehow knew what they were doing, so she invited them to tea in her home. Now, this information came from Tom Dunn and David Dodge, who were actually doing the research. That was their word to me. They were invited to go to this lady's house for tea. After tea, the lady went upstairs and brought down all the documentation that was stolen from the Library of Congress in 1812 when England invaded America and burnt that library. That library had been taken into possession by one of the soldiers from England and been kept in his family since that date. And then it was revealed to Tom Dunn and David Dodge that she had the possession of that stuff and would give it to them or a representative of them at some point in time. In the year 2000, all that information and documentation was presented to the Supreme Court, and there it was proven that that amendment was actually ratified in 1810, period. So we will go back to that Constitution that was written or published on March the 12th, 1819. We have to, because we need that 13th Amendment. Anything else?
Daryl, this is Lee again.
Okay.
Hello? Hello, Daryl?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Question again about the foreclosures. All these homes that have been foreclosed on and they're empty, once the announcement is made, who owns these properties since the banks will be gone under? Who owns these banks now? Because you know that some of the banks won't comply to the new regulations. So who would be the new owners of these foreclosed homes after the announcement?
When they start doing that, all of these banks that hold possession, and I'm sure it's not even in the possession of those banks, they cannot prove that they own these properties because they've traded that document so many times. It's been lost in the shuffle, from being shuffled from bank to bank to bank to bank all over the country. I don't know how that's going to be cleared up, but I know it will be. And so if I were you, when this all happens, if you want that property back, you need to make a claim against that property back with the bank that you made that loan through or whomever. And then that simply will kind of go down the chain of command in the repossession of all those assets of that bank.
Well, I was referring to, say like you wanted to purchase a new home after the announcement. I mean, will we be able to find out who to go to or what?
Well, I don't know who you'll go to. To answer your question, though, I'm going to tell you that at that point in time, you will be given a choice of accepting the value of your losses in your claim or being able to repossess that property and take it back. So you'll have to make a claim through the bank that's made your original loan, or you make a claim on your farm claim.
Yeah,
that's the only way I know how to answer.
Yeah, I was just concerned about who do you respond to? Say if you wanted to purchase another home after the announcement. So because there's so many out there, but I'm pretty sure it'll be all detailed out after the announcement.
Yes, right. It will. Now I would make this suggestion: don't purchase a repossessed property. If you do, you're going to put yourself into a position where the original person who was divested of that property can come back in and make a claim, and you'll lose yours.
That's a good point.
Make sure you do a title search on any property that you purchase with your claim money, and make certain that it has not gone through a foreclosure of any kind in its past. You can do that through a title search.
Good point. Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
Daryl, this is John. Question. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
About the political prisoners like yourself, people who were railroaded into the prisons, any knowledge they might be released?
Well, I think it's probably going to be pretty close to immediate. And I'm certainly hoping that all of the action taken against us will be taken care of and revoked. And I'm certainly going to demand that there be public announcements as to the credibility of that suit that was against us. It was all fabricated. We had no choice. We had no chance of defending ourselves or anything with that case. It was just a railroad deal. So I'm hoping there'll be some restitution or something happen about it. Anything else?
I want to know, Daryl, if people want to buy a home after the changes and so forth, and they don't have, all the money to pay for the home completely, is there going to be a way set up for people to get some kind of financial help to purchase a home?
Yes, there will be. However, there will not be any more loans like you've known in the past. Right. The only loans that will be made will be from money that is actually real money, it will not be any extension of credit. And those will be called participation loans, where the investor will be owner of the property as well as the new owner. It will be a joint ownership, and there will not be any interest paid, but you may pay a participation agreement fund, a fee for it, or with it. I'm not sure of the details on if you want to make a new loan, but you'll be borrowing from an individual who is actually in control of the money.
We don't know exactly how the buyer can pay it off and how long it will take or whatever, huh?
No, you'll pay it off, but there won't be any interest rate charged on the money. There may be a fee, and the people who make the loans at the bank will be brokers for the real owner of the money.
I see.
Now, the farm claims and the program payments, there's a good chance that those participants will have to sign some agreements with the banks where the money is being held, and in order for them to be able to loan the money out to somebody else. But you'll have to agree to a participation agreement with anyone who wants to borrow the money. In other words, you're going to be just like if you went out and loaned the money to a private individual. The only difference will be you'll have a broker there at the bank who will be the go-between for both of you. And that person is going to be held liable, too, for his part of it.
Now, are they going to call these facilities banks or depositories or what? Do you know?
I don't know. I think they'll be banks, but then it all depends on... No, I think they'll be called banks. If there's no bank wanted qualified, then there'll be depositories or something. Something will be a setup. But as far as I know right now, there have been agreements made by individual banks in each of the states and each of the participants of the farm claims and the programs. Those banks have already been designated and made agreements with. But we wouldn't be as close as we are right now, I'll guarantee you. Okay?
We won't have banks on every corner like we do now, however, will we?
Absolutely not. There may be only regional banks in every state.
Okay. Now, does the Basel agreements, there was some kind of a notice on the Internet the other day that somebody called and read to me about the banks finally signing the Basel II, I think. Do the Basel agreements have any action within what we're trying to get done now?
Yes, they are. The Basel II and the Basel III were compliance regulations that each of the banks had to complete and to agree to before they could become a Treasury bank. That's all been settled out. It's like a reorganization of the banking industry. And those who did not comply or could not comply, they simply won't exist. They'll be taken over.
And I am assuming, and that's not a very smart thing to do, but I am assuming that some of the big banks like B of A and Citi didn't agree to sign these Basel agreements. Am I correct?
I think that's true.
That's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah, as far as knowing what banks have complied and what haven't, I'm not aware of that information. I just know that there are some out there.
Okay.
But we would be as close as we are with the payment of the claims and the programs.
Well, let me reopen the line. I had to mute it again because it was noisy. So hold on, everybody.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, *6, you can ask a question.
So, Daryl, this is Lee again.
Daryl?
Okay.
Well,
Good evening. This is Patty in California.
Wait a minute, Patty. Lee is first, honey, and then Patty can go.
All right.
Let Lee go.
This will be quick, first. Patty. Will there be credit cards? I'm assuming that it won't be like, because credit cards they're just devastating. Will there be any credit cards used after the announcement?
No, there will not be any more credit cards. Now, you may be given a debit card that you can use on your account, and this will probably be a separate account that you will transfer funds into, and so that debit card will not have very much money in it. I certainly wouldn't keep very much, but use it just for your personal transactions that you have, that you keep the bulk of your assets hidden and away from that. So only transfer money into that account that you want to use personally and at specific times, whenever you need it. But there will not be any more credit cards.
Good. Debit cards keep you honest anyway.
Yes.
Okay, Patty, go ahead, honey.
Yes, Daryl. Earlier this evening you mentioned about you didn't believe there was sufficient time for people to file for the acceptance in full. Would that procedure, if you started it now, help protect people who are in lawsuits, in foreclosure, in court cases? Would that protect them, stall the action?
I don't believe there's time for that to happen because the process of completing that whole thing is very lengthy and very, very procedural. I just don't think we have enough time. I'm with the attitude that this thing is coming down and it's coming down fast, and so I don't think there's time for you to do that. There are things that you can do if you are in foreclosure or repossession of some sort. There's a trustee site that has that information on it. I've already dealt with one person who was having trouble downloading, but I think if you go into that PDF file on the trustee site, that's www.thetrustee911.com. Go on that site and examine the areas that you can use for protecting yourself for foreclosure, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Is the T in trustee capitalized?
I beg your pardon?
Is the T
it's all
trustee
small letters.
Okay.
It's all small letters.
Okay, thank
trustee,
you.
It's www.thetrustee911.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next?
Daryl, could you tell me where I find the 13th Amendment and that title with 18.1?
Yes, ma'am. You can find that 13th Amendment that's in that Constitution on Rumor Mill News on the site that I gave you, and that is the PDF file of the original Constitution.
And that's Rumor Mill News?
The site is called the PDF.
PDF.
P is in Paul, D is in Daryl, F is in Frank. File of original Constitution. And it's on Rumor Mill News.
Okay,
and you click on that site, you'll get that whole thing, and you can copy it off right there off of that PDF file.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Carol, I have a question.
Yeah,
go ahead. What's your first name? Okay, this is Monica Daryl. How are you?
Okay.
Fine, honey. Go right ahead. I'd like to ask a question about former claim writers. Are they going to be called back into duty?
I don't know. I don't know whether there'll be more claims filed. There may be. I guess you'll know when it happens.
Okay,
all
great.
your names are on our list, and so just hang on, wait to see what happens.
Okay, great. What about the change of addresses?
The post office has a record of every change of address that's happened since 1933. If you filed your change of address, they know where to find you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I might make a statement here, Carol, about this post office thing. This trustee has discovered that the real constitutional de jure way of taking this country down through the postal power. This doesn't mean certified mail or priority mail. It simply means that the Postmaster General is one of the individuals within this nation that has a constitutional authority. The only other person in this nation who has constitutional authority is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. His position is enforcement. The Postmaster General wears two hats. He is the CEO of the post. What is it, Carol? The Postal Service. He's the CEO of the Corporate Postal Service, but he has a constitutional position of the Post Office. That constitutional Post Office power is what the trustee has used to file a declaratory judgment with him that forces that Postmaster General to declare this declaratory judgment as valid. His responsibility then is to turn that declaratory judgment over to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for enforcement. So that postal power is greatly explained right there in the trustee's site. There's a procedural process. What, Carol?
I say I hope they don't send it by overnight mail, because that's not efficient.
No, it's not.
Most of the postal services is not efficient at all. So
right.
I hope that he does his duty as a member of our community.
He has to.
And does good. If he doesn't, then what recourse do you have?
If the Postmaster General doesn't carry out the duty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what recourse do you have?
Nobody has to do it. Let me answer this right quick, Daryl. If you use the information on the trustee site to use the postal power, and you follow all of that process that's outlined there, and you send it to the Postmaster General, the Postmaster General is constitutionally bound to carry out the orders of your declaratory judgment. There's probably not 10 people in the whole nation that know how to use this postal power. You have to use it verbatim for what the trustee sets out in his procedural process. When you do that, you'll be taking the greatest step that anyone in this nation could take to take back your sovereignty as an individual. You can do this with your sovereignty issue. You can do it with your doing the program for paying off your bills and stuff. But you have to use it through that Postmaster General in order to get it done. You need to everyone needs to research out that file with that postal power.
So go to the trustee911.com. Is it .com or
yes.
.org? .com, isn't it?
No, .com.
.com, yeah. And ding around in there, folks, and educate yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on that site, and it's tremendously informative.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I apologize if it's a stupid question, but where does NESARA fit into all of this? And is there very, they talk about packets on I don't know what they're referring to, but it sounds like it has to do with money. Somebody told me the NESARA deal was $10 million. But I don't really know. Could you just kind of address that briefly?
Okay. NESARA is a result of the farm claims class action suit having gone to the Supreme Court and declaring that the suit for class action was actually won in November of 1994. When that was confirmed in the Supreme Court case in 2000, that documentation was taken to Congress. Now, the true members of Congress were the only ones who got to vote, and they're not lawyers. That was the original passage of the Nassara bill, and that's the one that will bring down this whole thing. That's the one that Patrick Bellringer talked about. Dove talked about it. There's a lot of people who talked about it. But when they did start talking about it, then the corporate government come in and tried to create their own Nassara to deceive people from. That one will simply not happen. But the true Nassara will happen. And that when you see your claims come or your notice of your claims being received, that will be the true Nassara that made that all happen. The packets that is talked about a lot on Casper and other news people up there on Rumor Mill News and so forth, those are simply the investments that were made to create the ability for Mr. Swasinger and others to go around the nation and inform them that we have this opportunity to bring America back to the Constitution and do this through a farm claim. And that has been used as bait. I have described this many times to several people. Those packets that are talked about there are simply bait. And, of course, Obama and Ginther and Bernanke and all these people who are assisting people in trying to steal those packets, they're the fishing pole. They're looking for people who want to come in and steal those packets and hypothecate them and creating more credit so they can keep this whole thing alive. But each time they get caught, the money gets brought back and it's just put back in place, ready for the next victim to come in. A good way to describe all this action up there is like all that action is nothing but a big pile of cheese, and they're catching every rat that they can in the entire world. It's a way to clean up this whole country, and it's part of the whole plan that originated a long time ago. We have to have a cleaning up, a purging of all of the evil in this world, and those packets are the bait. So let it happen. Don't worry about it. Just listen and enjoy the show of who got caught next and who got stopped.
Is this something that you have to apply for? I've heard several people say they applied for this kind of program or that kind of program, and I don't know anything about any of those programs. So
yes, ma'am.
I'm out of luck because I never heard of programs?
Yes, you're out of luck. But don't feel bad. There's a tremendous amount of people in this nation and around the world who have not been a participant in the packets, the claims program of the farm claims, or any of the investment programs called programs. But there will be means by which you will also receive you'll receive something out of all these trusts and things that happen. There will be benefits for all the people of this nation.
Will people think that these people did bad wrong, like these very bad people that you're talking about? It's the shadow government. They owe me $12 million. Will there be a way for me to make a claim on that money I'm owed?
They stole $12 million from you?
No, I did some work for them. My reward for risking my life and saving thousands of lives was for them. They had told me that I had earned a $12 million reward and that it was on its way. Well, after 3 years, I realized they were lying to me because then they started trying to kill me. So, and I found out, I didn't know when I got into it who all these bad guys were and what their angles were, and I didn't learn all of that until after the fact when I was trying to figure out, why these people were, why things were going down the way they were. So by the time I figured it all out, then it was like, well, I'll never see that money. Not unless all these people that caused 9/11 are thrown in jail.
Right. There's a lot of people who were participants and perpetuators of 9/11 that are not in jail, but are going to go to jail and worse. As far as your debt that you feel is owed to you, I suggest that you wait till this all comes down and we see some action by me and others to bring back this technology. You make it known to me who you are, and we'll see if we can't get that corrected some way.
Well, I think if you found out what I did, you would definitely say I earned it.
Well, let's wait till then so we don't get you involved with more threats against you, okay?
I don't, like I say, I don't have any way to defend myself other than, here I am. That's it. If you want me, come and get me. But I just know that I was told by somebody, my contact in one of the alphabet agencies, that I did earn the money and it was on its way, and I know I did because the things that I did see on CNN before they pulled the stories validated it.
Okay.
So it could be backtracked. But I was just wondering about that because I know other people that don't understand how only the in crowd, gets in on NESARA. And
yes.
I didn't know if that's true or not.
The in crowd, as far as I'm concerned, the in crowd, being the politicians up there, will have no thing to do with NESARA, any part of it, nor any of the programs. They will have no part of them. I promise you. All they've been trying to do over the last several years is to make it look like they were going to be the ones who brought this all around and they paid the payment. That's not true. It's a show. It's all a facade. It's a lie. The true NESARA will pay the programs out, and the farm claims and all of that stuff will come through it, but not their corporate side of it. It's been a big effort to make it look like they were going to be, or could be, the angels, but they're not. They've still got horns. Just keep quiet and stay low and not make a big display of yourself, and wait till this all happens, and then let some of us know who you are and what you think you have coming to you. We'll check into it. Okay? Anyone else have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Does anyone else have any questions?
Hey, Daryl, I got a question.
Sure.
Who's going to own, when all this takes place, who's going to own all these national parks? BLM land and national forest and stuff like that.
The people.
Okay.
Because there will be some action taken against all foreign ownership of property in this country, and their ownership will be nullified. So all of these properties will be put into trust for the people. They will own them just like they're supposed to have been owned. The corporate participation of government will be dissolved, and so that means that all these claims that they've had in ownership will be null and void. As a matter of fact, up to this point in time, they've claimed that all of those parks and things have been sold off as collateral to the foreign countries like China and Russia and Japan for making loans to them. So they've actually sold off all the vast virgin tracts of America to them. Well, that's just all going to be nullified.
Daryl?
Yes, sir?
While you're talking so much about property, what do you see the role of the real estate person in this country when this all hits? Or is there one?
Well, the real estate agents, I don't know what's going to happen to them. It probably won't be. They'll probably be looking for something else to do. It's just like the brokers of all the stocks and things of the stock market.
Yeah.
Those stockbrokers will probably be looking for a Hardy's job too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just know that they won't any longer be. They're still going to have to be brokers of properties, because there'll be transactions of property as long as there's property.
I would think so.
Yes, but some of them are going to be, that's been in these banks, are going to probably be in jail.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Daryl, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Dina, and I would like to know what will happen with all the Indian reservations and the people living on them.
As far as I know, they'll still be there, and there's been provisions already made for all of the Indians to be taken care of. The thing that we're concerned with right now with NASARA and all these financial programs will simply go back to 1933 and no further.
Well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Daryl, I have a question about the, what was it before we had title insurance? We had the history. What was that called?
Allodial title.
Abstract. Thank you. No, abstract of title. When I was a real estate broker in Kansas City, I was abhorred to find out that the Independence, Missouri people were taking the abstracts from all these beautiful properties and burning them and converting it to title insurance. Now, Jeannie had told me we're going to go back to abstract titles. What do you know about that? And what happens when the original is no longer available? How do we reconstruct that?
I don't know. That's something to do with the reconstruction of that whole thing. And there will be a military officer who will be in charge. I was told at one time who that would be. As far as I know, there will not be any abstracts, nor will there be titles to property. It will revert back to allodial ownership.
Land
and there will
patents.
be no taxes. Yes, land patents, but it'll be an allodial title to the property.
Right.
But all this mess got to be cleaned up. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous job.
Oh, that's.
I was also told that every person in every county will be responsible for going to the county seat office and set up teams to go through all the transactions since 1933 and clean them up.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Big job. Big job.
Yes,
it's going to be a big job. Yes?
I just have a question, just out of curiosity. I heard you mention the Supreme Court earlier, and
yes.
my question is to the legality of the Supreme Court, since these were practicing attorneys.
Well, you're right, and that part of this original action that I and my wife sent to the Supreme Court was to prove that there was no justice in their courts. This means they're all invalid. Now, we can go one step further. Go back to this original Constitution. That Constitution reads that the judicial power of the United States resides in the one Supreme Court. This is the common law court. Let me get that out and read that to you, because it's very important you understand that. What did I do? Hang on a second. This is in Article 3, and if you have the Constitution, you can read it. 6. I have to turn to it, so bear with me for just a little bit. Article 2, Section 2.
sheriff be the most important man in the county?
Absolutely, still is.
That's little known, I think.
Yeah. Well, certainly those in power and office don't know it, but there's a lot of sheriffs around the country that have been educated as to the true nature of their authority. Mm-hmm. Hang on a second. I've got to find this. I have bifocals, and it's difficult for me to hold everything up to my...
If it's too much, then we can pass over it. I was just wondering about your opinion about that.
Okay, well, I can tell you for certain that the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, spelled in small letters, and that is the original common law court that was carried over into the colonies from the Magna Carta of England.
So they would have to be reappointed, you're saying, since the ones that are sitting on the bench now were appointed by previous presidents?
Yes, those people will cease to exist.
I have that Article 3 if you'd like me to read it.
Go ahead, read it.
Okay. Article 3, Section 1, the judicial power of the United States, and the power has a capital P on it, and the United States still has a capital U and a capital S, so I don't know how valid this particular Constitution is. It says the judicial power of the United States.
Daryl, is that the one that was printed in Virginia?
I don't know. It's in a little booklet that is called Citizens Rule Book. Bill of Rights, Jury Handbook, the fireworks are in the document itself, read the Constitution. It says, was printed, Whitten Printers in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
Printers, editorial work by Webster Adams, Paper House Publications, is that familiar with? Anyway, let me read this. Let's see how bad it is or how good. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court. Now, Supreme, the S on Supreme is lowercase, but the C on court is uppercase. Capital.
That's true. That's right.
And in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times, and the T on times is capitalized, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. To all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party. So I think this is not our Constitution that we want to be reading about. Sounds like it. Yeah. It says the controversy. It is what?
It's the correct one.
What is?
The thing that's important to refer there to is that the inferior courts, where it said the judicial power shall be vested in one Supreme Court, that is the common law court. And then where there was a comma and it went on to the inferior courts that are established and ordained by an act of Congress, these courts were established by the 1789 Judiciary Act, and that is the Supreme Court that is an Article 1 court, Article 2 court in the Supreme Court. They are the inferior court. The common law courts are the superior courts. So that was laid out very specific in the 1789 Judiciary Act, and it's still true today. So when we get back our Constitution, the common law courts will be supreme in all counties and every state.
Okay. Did you want me to read on it or not? There's just a few
no, that's fine.
about
That's enough. That's
Daryl, I have a question. This is Mel again from Colorado.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay. What I would like to know is regarding people who are in positions of judgeship at this time, county and state and federal. In the declaration by the Restore America plan, the understanding was that those, I think it was in there, that they would be given a forgiveness if they choose to go back under the common law. They would be given the opportunity to, be brought up to speed on what the new laws are going back under the original laws. Am I correct?
That's correct as far as what that document says, but I think there's going to be a revision, and let's wait until that happens, because it doesn't coincide with the information that I received originally with the plan of what was to happen.
So there's two things that I heard. One was what they said, which is what I just brought up, and the other thing that you're mentioning is arrest. Is that the other thing that you're talking about?
Yes. The 13th Amendment prohibits lawyers from holding public office. All of the judges in every state corporate capacity and the federal corporate capacity will simply have to go home because they have the title of nobility called Esquire. That will eliminate them from those positions.
Okay, so a second question then. If they are going to be released, will they still, as Americans, be eligible for the same things that a normal American would be eligible for?
No, they won't.
Okay.
No, they will not. The reason why is because they have rescinded their sovereign position of being a citizen of the United States of America, and they have accepted the citizenship of England through the title of nobility, Esquire. Every lawyer in every state that has received the bar exam and passed it and accepted it is a citizen of England and not of the United States of America. Every politician since about, in the last 10 years has rescinded or renounced their oath to the United States of America Constitution and have taken a new oath as to the United Nations. All of those people are not citizens of America any longer. They can't be, and I doubt if they're allowed to be ever a citizen of America again.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because I don't know about this and I would like to understand it better. When they went through their bar procedures, you're saying that when they go through that oath process, they knowingly or are taught and understand what they're doing, and that they know they gave up their citizenship to America, and that they are servants of the Queen and they are not American citizens? That's very clear
exactly
to them?
Right. That's made very clear to them.
Oh, my God. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? If there's no more questions right now, I might add that every lawyer who ever passed the bar, let's restate this again, every lawyer who ever accepted the Bar Association and the title of nobility knows that he is not a citizen of America. He has actually committed himself to being a citizen of England. And they're all going to have to come to terms with themselves for what they did. I learned this a long time ago from a lawyer who represented us in a farm foreclosure. I actually forced him into admitting that he knew that he was a citizen of England. And I questioned him about that. I said, do you actually stand here and tell me that you've given up your citizenship to America, to being a citizen of the United States of America, and you know that you're a citizen of England, and you're comfortable with that? What is wrong with you? Well, I got to have a job, Daryl. See, many of them, when they get to that position, they have spent all of this time and all of this energy and all this money to get to be a lawyer because they want to be wealthy, they want to be in power, and they want to be in control. And so by accepting that, they've sold themselves to the devil, and they have given up their rights as a citizen of America and of the United States of America. They knowingly and willingly did it because they wanted to make money. When I found out about the original, just a minute, when I found out about the original 13th Amendment, I was in an office of a printer, a printing company, and I had the document here that talked about this original 13th Amendment. And this printer had a friend who was a lawyer, and he always came over every day and just said hi and would just pass the time of day because he liked to do that. But as we were standing there, I had this document laying on the table, and as he walked up there, we were visiting, and all of a sudden he looked down and saw this document that was about the original 13th Amendment, and he said, "What are you doing with that? Where'd you get that?" I said, "It came out of the library of Oklahoma University." He said, we can't do that. No one can make money practicing constitutional law." And he ran out of the building. They know, folks. They know. So that's something they're going to have to all come to terms with because they know they're not a citizen of the United States of America. And that's why the pressure has been so great with bringing back and restoring this republic to the country and to the people is because the legal profession has perpetuated this whole thing. They were responsible for stealing that 13th Amendment out of the record books from 1819 through 1867. They tried to hide it. They couldn't steal it, but they tried to hide it. There was no federal legislation. There was no state legislation that took that 13th Amendment out of the record books. Only lawyers had accessibility and availability and the ability to do that. They did it because they knew that they couldn't make any money practicing constitutional law, and they did not want the public to know that it was ever there. But thanks to the bravery and the vicissitude of certain individuals, it was resurrected and brought back to life and put back into force and effect. And by golly, I can't wait until it's affected all of them.
I just wanted to make a suggestion here, if it's all right.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see if we can't resurrect the Mayflower, put them all on the Mayflower, and send them back to England.
It wouldn't be big enough.
I know.
Build it where it stretched all the way from Plymouth Rock clear to England. It still wouldn't be big enough to hold them all.
Well, I know. Daryl?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Patty from California again. Then we owe the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, a debt of gratitude for including and incorporating the 13th Amendment into the Constitution. Well, actually,
yes.
There's two gentlemen, Dodge and...
Tom Dunn.
Yeah.
David Dodge and Tom Dunn dug it out. And they have been responsible for bringing all this documentation back into the knowledge of the people and to the people who were endeavoring to bring this country back to the Constitution. And one of them was a man by the name of Roy Schlesinger. He was the focal point of that leadership at that time, and I don't know whether he still is or not, or maybe that wasn't even his name. I don't care. But it was his leadership, the individual's leadership, that helped bring this all about. And I'm certainly glad to have been a part of it, and I'm very glad to be a part of it now. When I uncovered the fact that all of this corruption was going on, I knew that we had to we had to divest ourselves of all that stuff, and we had to make an attempt to correct it for our own posterity, for our own kids and grandkids, just like every one of you. But this 13th Amendment just thrilled me to pieces when I first discovered it, and then had a relationship with the individuals who dug it out and brought it out.
Are Dodge and Dunn alive today?
They are, as far as I know.
Good. That's great.
Yes.
Daryl. Okay.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you're not this is Queen. If you're not a so-called esquire, how can you practice constitutional law and international law?
They can't. Well, they can practice their form of constitutional law and their under international law, but they cannot practice common law. It is absolutely forbidden for a lawyer to step into a common law meeting unless he is accepted by the court, period, because he is not a citizen first. He's a representative of the corporation. He is an agent of the corporation. Anytime anyone accepts a lawyer in any type of court case, you give up all of your rights right there. You have no rights in their courts at all.
Okay, well, if you're not a lawyer or so-called esquire, how can you practice constitutional law or international law or common law without being a lawyer?
Well, you have to be trained in law. It doesn't mean that you have to be a lawyer. Why do you think the Constitution says that you can have a representative or you can have you don't have to be trained in law, but you have to know law. You don't have to be a lawyer to practice law lawfully.
Advisor.
Okay, I'm a paralegal. I went to paralegal. I never became a lawyer, but I knew some law, but I'm not, a lawyer.
Yes. If you're a paralegal.
Well, I think there's a distinction between lawyer and attorney, is there not?
Well, most attorneys are trained in law, but they don't practice law. What they do is they do wills and transfers of property and estates and stuff like that. But they don't go before the bar.
I think it's the other way around. I think it's the other way around, honey. I think the lawyers are able to do what you just said, but the attorneys are the ones that have taken the bar, attorney at law, and they're the ones.
Yes, it is attorneys that. Yes.
Have given up citizenship.
Yes. Well,
and I think the lawyers
given up citizenship. The lawyers have too.
Lawyers
yes, they have. They've all taken the bar exam.
Not all of them.
Every lawyer, listen, Carol, every lawyer in every state and every nation that has become a lawyer has passed the bar.
No, that's not true.
They may not have agreed to the bar. Yes, when they pass the bar, they are given the title of nobility called esquire.
About the one that passed
they don't pass the bar, they're not treasonous. And they can still write wills and do things, that don't have to go before the court.
All they can be is a paralegal. They cannot practice law. Now, attorneys,
after the bar,
they practice that law, and they're qualified to go before the bar in the court. And most of them, who recognize what they are, don't practice law in the courts. They're not gifted with this ability to be a twister, and so they go into estates, wills, stuff like that. But every one of them are esquires, every stinking one of them.
Are they granted esquire when they get out of the University of Law School?
No, it's only when they go before the bar, and they can't practice law in any fashion if they're not a bar association lawyer.
The bar passed that rule, I believe.
Yes, they did, and they're a private entity. They're an agency, and they're not a corporation. When we went to the Secretary of State here in Oklahoma, And we wanted to know if the Bar Association had filed with the Secretary of State. They gave us a certificate and said, no, they have not been filed with the Secretary of State's office. All they have is a trademark with that symbol of the weights and scales and the woman holding the scale. That's a trademark, and that's a symbol of their association. All they are an association. They're not sanctioned by the state at all. And no attorney gets a state license, which is against state law. No attorney, no lawyer gets a state license anywhere. None of them are sanctioned by the state law.
Daryl, this is Bill.
Yes.
How do we get in contact with you if we're interested in starting one of the businesses that you talked about?
I'll put that out on the internet when the time comes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give that information out when when it's made available.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. What can you say, this is Paul, what can you talk about on DMV, vehicles, papers, taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Now, you said, restate that, please. I didn't understand part of it. The DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles?
DMV, all the information concerning that, the licenses, taxes, association with us and them and the cars and such so forth.
Well, at this point in time, the ownership of all vehicles in the entire nation is under the control of the state. All properties within the boundaries of the state are possessed by the state. You pay a yearly rent for being able to use them. That's why you buy a car tag. That's why you buy insurance. That's why you pay property taxes, because you're paying your pittance to the state. All of that ownership came under the state's control with the acceptance of the Emergency Act, of the National Economic Emergency Act, presented by Roosevelt in 1933, March the 9th. When this all comes down, that will all go back to private ownership, but you'll also have to accept the responsibility of that ownership of the land and of the vehicles. It'll all be dissolved.
And if we owe anything on the vehicles, registration fees, etc., or whatever is pending, what happens there?
Now, you didn't say that very clear for me to understand. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The taxes.
Yes, taxes, fees, anything pending when this comes about. What happens to that money?
It's dissolved. It's dissolved. It doesn't exist. Because they'll do away with the Department of Motors. They'll do away with all that on a state level when that's all dissolved. All of that's underneath the organization of the session laws for each state. When those are dissolved by each state, then that responsibility will disappear also. You'll probably be given a certificate of title to property that you've possessed or obtained.
Who takes that over?
Well, the Republic is each of the people within the state themselves will have to set up a new constitutional process for ownership of property of all kinds.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you much.
Daryl?
You're welcome. Yes?
This is Rich. I believe you mentioned something about a supercomputer that can detect everything and about a spaceship covering this?
No, I don't know anything about a spaceship covering it. But
okay.
when this all originated, we were told that our side had possession of the largest computer in the world. And this computer was able to follow and track every financial transaction made by any individual in the entire world. Okay, that's the reason why when all these packets and stuff have been stolen, they can track them, find out where they've gone, who was responsible, everything is known about these people, and they're caught with their hands in a cookie jar. So, yes, it exists, and it is in our side's possession. I can't say mine. I don't have anything to do with it, but I know that I was assured we have that ability, and they're using it. As far as spaceships, they're real. But they're not in the corporate's possession either. Not any longer. They've been taken away from them by the patriots around that area that was doing the research and development. And they are out there now protecting us also. Don't have to worry about any alien invasion or anything like that.
Thank you,
It won't happen. Yes, sir.
Do you know the timetable for that?
The timetable for what?
The timetable for the ETVs.
No, but I think we're going to be exposed to some things real soon. But as far as timetables, nobody knows.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Any more questions?
Hello, Daryl.
Yes.
Yes, hi, this is Dr. C in El Paso, and I want to, first of all, if I may real quick, I want to thank everyone on this call. What incredible questions. I think they hit every one that I was even thinking about before I even got to thinking about them, so thank them. And you, I have never, they were marvelous answers. It just resonates as truth, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you have done and your dear, dear wife and all the others on this team. I mean, we owe you a debt that, oh my gosh, I just bless you, God bless you, God bless you, and we certainly thank you and so honored for you to join us tonight and, just given such clarity and such beautiful hope for all of us that we're really there, and it wouldn't be for true patriots unlike you and others. Just thank you so much. I won't keep going on here, but I am just almost to the point of tears, but joyful tears for all of us. And I want to welcome all the new folks on this call. I hope you'll continue to join us. We're on an incredible trip together, and God bless each and every one of you. Lots of love. Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome, and I want to make a statement about that. It's been a challenge, it's been a joy, it's been a privilege to be a part of this whole thing, and in just knowing what was going to happen, what could happen, and now what has happened. So don't flower me with all of that. I've just been honored with the privilege. I think it was my destiny. And I just hope that we were like a little grain of sand in the heel of all of this stuff that's been perpetuated against the American people and all of the people in every nation in the world. It all dealt with admiralty law, and it had to come down. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. We both are.
I have a real quick question. If you find out what the phone number is for the recorded call. For tonight's call, I didn't get a chance to listen on it, and I just got on just now, and it said it was recorded, so I hope I'll be able to hear it.
Yes, Carol can give you that information.
You what now?
What you need to do you have a computer?
Yes.
Okay. You can do one of two things. You can go to our internet site and look for it at the very bottom of the site. When Nancy gets the PIN number recorded on that site, which will probably be midweek, or you can send an email to Nancy Brennan at Verizon.net, Nancy.
Well, I thought maybe it was. I thought you had a recording where you could dial the number, enter a PIN number for the. Where I
Well,
could do it on the phone.
Okay, let me give you our internet site then. It's WWL, WF as in Frank, .livejournal, LIV as in Victor E, journal.com. That's WWL, WF .livejournal.com. And that will give you our schedule and everything, but just go ahead and scroll clear to the bottom of the site, and you'll find the number for the archive, which is the same as our conference call number, only instead of 4141, it's 4143. And then you'll look for the date and get the PIN number for that date. And then you call. Okay?
All right.
Daryl?
Yes.
Is it about time for them to stop with the nonsense of the chemtrails and the harp with all the earthquakes and volcanoes and disastrous weather consequences?
Yes, it is. However, I've got to warn you that these disasters that are happening are the changes that the Earth has to go through for this transformation into the fifth dimension. It's just going to happen that if we're able and successful in getting this thing changed around and the transition made, then those Earth changes will be less effective as what they could have been. In times past, they have completely destroyed the entire surface of the Earth, and it had to be started over again. If we're successful in completing this whole process and getting this country restored and getting the sovereignty back of every nation in the world, then we'll go through this transition with this world intact to a greater degree than we would have before. So that's our hope of being able to do this and do it quickly. We've just got to continue on. We've got to keep our prayers up for this whole thing to be enforced and affected and brought down. There are forces out there outside of this Earth sphere that are helping us and assisting us in completing this process with as little interference as possible. Just be prayerful and thankful for all of these entities and people that are endeavoring to get this done. We've just got to keep up the faith and keep up the prayers and keep it all lifted in the hands of God Almighty. Daryl? Yes, sir. Daryl? Can you hear me? Yes, sir. I wish you'd just come back to Cherokee and let us see you one more time. Been a long time. That'd be a good reunion, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, too. Just let us know. Yes. Okay. We'll do that. Yes. Does anyone else have any questions right quick?
Daryl, we admire your humble answer there a while ago, but you deserve every bit of the praise that you're getting, and praise is very little and small compared to what you've done, and Schwarzberg and all the other people that have been involved, the lives that have been lost, and all of us here mean that very, very sincerely.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
Daryl?
Yes, sir.
This is Lee again. Question about the farm claims again. I had a friend of mine that filed a claim. She had passed away. Can that be passed on to her son?
Yes, it'll be passed on to her heirs.
Okay.
I don't think there'll be a problem with that.
Okay, good.
There's been a lot of good people that have lost their lives and just maybe given up. This whole thing about death has been an ongoing perpetuation for a long time, and this hasn't stopped it. But anyway, I think everyone will be, all of their actions will be carried forth and passed on.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Daryl, this is Bruce.
Hello, Daryl.
Question about how long would you guess that it would take for, after the announcements, for us to be able to conduct reasonable business transactions, such as buying a piece of property or a building or something of that nature? Are we talking about?
I don't think. Okay.
Weeks
I don't think that's going to be. No. Once it happens, the thing that I would caution you on is if you're considering buying a piece of property of any kind, make sure you go through and do a thorough examination of the title ownership of that property and make certain that there's no foreclosures in its past, in its history. If there are, whatever you purchase could be subject to a claim against that property and you may lose it.
Understand.
You see, because the original person who lost it and had clear title to it, it'll have to go back to them. Or they'll have to at least be given an opportunity to take it back or be compensated for their losses. So just check that out first before you do. I don't think it'll be very long, but who knows?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Daryl.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I wanted to find out what is going to happen with the military and our troops that are overseas.
Come home. Bring them home, because as each nation in this whole world goes back to their sovereignty, the issues of the circumstances surrounding the war will be dissolved, because it's all been the manipulators of the Illuminati, the controllers of the financial world, worldwide. They've been manipulating people into these wars for their own gain, and they simply will cease to have those agendas any longer. The people will be free. The thing that we got to remember is that there's millions of lives that have been lost for no real purpose at all. And, there's going to be people over there who are very angry for what has happened to them. So there's going to have to be a big effort on the American people's part to either help restore those nations back to their own, something's got to be given to them to compensate for their losses and our losses. The men and women who sacrificed their life over there, God help them.
Would that be part of the programs that we can offer to get money to go and do that? And then what about the artifacts that have been stolen, like especially from like Iraq? Those things are going to go back to them, correct?
They need to be. There needs to be an effort to restore them back to their own possessions, everything. I don't know how it's all going to happen. I know it's planned to be able to happen. So let's just keep up that hope. That's all I know. I'm not privy to all of the information on how these things are going to be done. I just know they're going to be, because this whole process was laid out to us in the inception of this whole thing, and we agreed to be a part of it.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, question on the, if we want to build our own house, do we have to subject ourselves to the planning commissions and drawings and all that kind of stuff, or can we build our own place, or what?
Well, I think those are all going to be dissolved also. However, you might want to wait until these new technologies come out, because the whole planning part of your home is going to be changed with the revolution of this new technology. You'll have your own power sources. There'll be materials that you will have available to you that will be a lot less costly, and they'll be more effective as far as thermodynamics are concerned. Just wait until this technology comes out, and then you can decide to build your home, and maybe even a better location. I don't know. I have no clue. I just know the information has got to come out as quick as possible.
Right.
If
there
you're
won't be any more
considering...
I beg your pardon?
There's not going to be any more taxes or anything attached to the property or building or whatever?
No. That's supposed to all be dissolved. It'll all go to an excise tax
I have a quick
If you are considering purchasing a home that was raw land and the party that you're considering purchasing from is the original owner, would you still need to do a title search on that property?
Yes, I would, because you need to make certain that they are the true owners and original owners of the property. You need to satisfy yourself through a title check, title search. Go ahead, what?
They are the original owners and builders and developers.
Well, I don't know how you would claim that they were original, because what land's been owned in this country since 1907. I don't know what state you're in, but you need to go back to when the transactions of land first occurred in your records to make certain that no one was dispossessed of that property illegally. I'm sure a lot of them have passed away since then, but you still need to do that search. It's not very expensive to do that. Not even very hard.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Daryl, this is Mel again in Colorado.
Yes, ma'am.
My husband and I had purchased a home in 1987. It was a model home. It was a home that was built by Richmond Company here in Colorado Springs. And we went into foreclosure, and in 2003 we lost that home, but it did go into a short sale, and it was bought by someone, but not for the full amount that we owed. And so we had some debt there. And what I'm wondering about is, would we be considered, I still have the paperwork on when we bought the home originally from the builders, would we be considered the people who had the title then to the home, or the deed to the home?
Well, you'd be one of them for certain. But you still need to go through this title search of the entire history of the land that property is on.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying, and that answers my question then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a real quick question to ask. Do you know whether the president, if he's going to be considered stay in office, or will he be stepping down in the next few months, or will he go ahead and finish out his term, or how's this all going to play out?
I'm pretty certain that he's going to step down, because he's going to have to admit to the American public that he's not qualified to be president of the United States of America Republic, that he is only a CEO for the corporation, and constitutionally he does not even qualify for that position. So
it doesn't look like he is fixing to do anything, as far as he's just going around different states advertising whatever he's advertising. I don't know what he's doing, but he's been having all kinds of speeches, and he acts like there's nothing going on.
Let me make a suggestion into how to observe this individual. He's nothing more than a fishing pole for the purging of all the evil in this country. And those packets up there are the bait. So he'll remain in office as long as the trustee and others will allow him to be. So he'll have to resign or be taken down for treason, and there'll be legal charges against him. I'm certain of that.
Question?
Yes?
Okay. On your end of the info tel poll, do you know, and it's kind of laughable at this point, but is Obama a Kenyan born, or what, or where?
From the information that I've been aware of, he was born in Kenya, and he is not a citizen of Hawaii or of the United States.
Thank you for confirming that.
I beg your pardon?
I said thank you for confirming that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, if there's no more questions, it's getting kind of late. It's 12:21 here, and I'm sure it's getting late there for you folks, too. Carol, I thank you for having me on. Yes, ma'am.
I have one last question, and that is, what is going to happen to the health care, or will that be absorbed with the new technology?
The health care will simply dissolve. The health care program will simply dissolve. It will not be effective. No law passed by Congress will be effective at all. So it will just disappear.
How?
I think you're also concerned with the welfare of yourself and your family medically or health-wise, and evidently you came in late because Daryl did say that there would be a way for everybody to regain their health, and it would be rather soon, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Daryl?
Yes, that's true. And I might restate this. As we are going through these changing times, the energy level of everything in the earth, and on the earth, and underneath the earth is going to be affected by these energy changes. As we all go through this process, each of us will go through a transformation into the fifth dimension. Your health will be restored right along with your wealth. And you will no longer have these health issues. That's about the best I can explain that to you.
That was wonderful.
Okay. Yes.
That was wonderful.
Yep.
Ma'am, did that answer your question, dear one?
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. Well, if there's no other questions, folks, it is late. I'm sure Daryl is very tired. He's been very, very forthcoming and very willing to answer all your questions in a beautiful manner. I encourage all of you to hit *6 and thank this dear, wonderful man. And hopefully he'll join us again another time when he's able to, and take this information back to your families or whomever you talk to, and get them excited about the changes that are coming forth. And don't forget to stay in prayer. That's very important. And pray for the people on the front lines bringing this forward, that everybody be protected, and that we get this done without bloodshed. That's so important. God bless you all. I love you, and namaste.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much.
Daryl, and thank you, Carol. Bless you both.
Daryl.
Very well.
Daryl, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl, and your wife. So much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
God bless you. Wow.
Well, Daryl,
still there?
so very much.
Yes.
One. Thank you. It was a wonderful night. We had a number of people on, more than we've had in years, so it was obvious that people wanted to hear you.
Well, I hope I answered the questions for them and gave them some peace with their understanding. That's been the main problem all these years, because we've had to drop out and not be able to do that for people. I've enjoyed
Well, that's
it.
fully understandable with what you've been faced with and the job that you're doing. So most people are smart enough to understand that. Some people are so frustrated and so scared that they can't understand it, But hopefully this will, before they are totally divested of every shred of dignity and piece of property that they have. So it will be for everybody. Well, I love you dearly, and I just am so grateful to you and Sally for being who you are and doing what you're doing. And give her my love, and we'll be talking very soon. God bless you, dear friend.
Thank you, Carol. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Oh,
bye.
Carol, what a memorable night.
Yes.
Thank you Oh. Well, I'm sure in the state of gratitude, Carol. Oh. Wow. What an incredible, incredible gentleman. What a hero. Oh, my gosh. Carol, thank you and love you. Thank you so much for keeping this incredible phone family together for 5 years. We wouldn't be here now without you and your love and continued support and tenacity and keeping it all together. So thank you so much.
Well, it's been my
Sweet
dear
dreams.
pleasure.
Oh,
yeah,
honey.
sweet, buddy.
You're a hero too.
Oh no,
oh,
no, don't put me in that
yes,
category.
you are.
No. Another piece of the puzzle, like you are, and I love you. Care and have a good weekend, okay?
Absolutely.
Good night now, everybody.
Good night, Daryl, and good night to all of our family and to our new folks joining us. Oh, beautiful.
We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good night.
See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you, Carol.